What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM. It's time for the finals. We're getting started here with Action versus YSC. Let's go, boys. Pantheon for map number 1. Before we get too deep into the weeds, let's talk about this lineup. Well, bam! Hero, Action, Sulky, Jaedong, Best, Snow, YSC Motive. The name that's popping out the most to me right now is Sulky. Having him in this lineup changes everything, Shun. Sulky and Hero, sorry. Action, Jaedong are kind of like a sidekick. Sulky and Hero gonna steal the show. I'm almost 100% sure, although last week I ate my words when I thought YSC and Motive were gonna be a sidekick. They ended up showing up huge. I wonder if Action and Jaedong can do the same.
Yeah, I hope they can. I mean, we'll obviously be rooting for the Zerg as biased casters that we are. But, yeah, YSC and Motive performed absolutely fabulously recently in recent KCM games. So you never know quite what's going to happen in KCM. We've said that so many times. But with this lineup of Zerg, it's hard to not favor them. I mean, Sulky on his own is an absolute powerhouse. Like, back to back, like 3 titles in a row in SSL. Like, as a Zerg, that's absolutely mind-blowing Bonjour level stuff. So just having him on the squad as a captain is already scary. But you got the likes of Hero backing him up as well. Basically Sulky, but not quite as polished in a lot of ways. Maybe the guy that deserves a title but never quite will get there. I hope he does somehow in the future. But yeah, Jaedong and Action backing those two up, it's kind of a crazy lineup overall.
Yeah, setting out Action first, gonna give him a chance to prove his worth here. YSC sending the probe behind the mineral patch. He does have a forge back at home, so this is a real threat. Second probe is on the way. Is Action gonna take it seriously? Only sending 1 drone so far.
Yeah.
And
this could be like a double bluff.
Absolutely could be. And so a second pylon will go down. This is plenty of space to throw down cannons. Second drone arrives, but there's already a cannon on the way. This is a problem. Not sure we can actually stop this now.
I actually thought this was a fake. This is a really good double bluff from YSC. Like, he's done it like in his face, so much so that like Action was just like, oh, you're probably faking this, but actually no, it's going to be a real one. So now he'll probably have to resort to using a sunken colony if he wants to have any chance of defending this, to maybe try and calculate fixing this. But he might be at the very least just forced to re-expand here. But I imagine he will be trying to use a sunken colony to try and like deal with this once the hatchery is completed.
Yeah, he's going to try and throw down sunken colonies. These probes are going to be on the hunt, though, trying to stop that. He cancels. Okay, and one of the cannons cancels as well. YSC doing this perfectly. Look at that. He even gets the money back, refunding that 150 minerals. Going to be able to get his Nexus out that much quicker. This is already great for the Protoss.
Yeah, really well optimized early rush here from YSC. It's going to be giving him just the advantage that he needs against someone like Action. Action's a very strong macro Zerg, but an aggressive one at that. But if you can kind of throw a wrench in his works, he's not quite as adept at getting there as he would like to be. He's not quite as like finessed as someone like Sulky or Hero might be, but he's still pretty adept at navigating these murky waters. So let's see if he can find out a good solution right now, because there's a little bit of an awkward situation where even though there's only this 1 cannon blocking this, it's delaying his third base from being set up for quite some time.
This probe is going to be instrumental in blocking. Look at all the time he's buying for the cannon to get extra shots off. This is perfectly done. He's going to kill a few extra lings, but eventually this cannon will fall, and Action is going to be able to grab that extra base. But we're already at 4 minutes in, with the third just starting to come up over here at the natural. A layer in the main base. Things are very wonky.
Very wonky indeed, saying. I mean, I can kind of see why Action was so hesitant in like trying to take out that cannon by building a few extra lings. He knew with that 1 extra probe it'd be a lot more frustrating to have to deal with, and I don't know how he's going to stabilize from this position. Even the core being placed further back away from the wall here. Interesting wall setup from YSC as well, the way things are tucked backwards. It looks like he really doesn't want this forge to be sniped as like by a Hydra counterattack later on.
Yeah, he doesn't want to give up that upgrade. Makes his wall a little bit easier to break, but it does protect the upgrade quite well. Action has the option to go for a Mutilus play follow-up. And YSC would love to see what kind of tech's being thrown down, because he knows there's got to be tech. There has to be some sort of play coming from Action, because a pure macro play is just not going to work out in Action's favor. He needs to pull out something kind of tricky to get one over YSC. YSC poking in with the Zealot, gonna force Lings over to this side, maybe try to slip the probe back in. No, he's gonna bring it over here to help to fight. Getting those 2 extra hits with the probe, able to pick off one of these Lings. Now 2 Zealots making their way up towards this 12 o'clock. He's putting on a ton of pressure to Action, who's already been gibbled. He's been hobbled economically. He's doing so much damage. Just indirect.
I'm really impressed by YSC. Yeah, really impressed. Managing to get just barely to this behind this mineral line as well in the nick of time. We'll lose one of those Zealots. Probe desperately low on HP, gonna be falling as well. Finally gonna be cleaning this up, but so far so good from YSC. Has managed to keep a lot of the pressure on to Action, who inversely has dealt with this pretty well as well. Didn't take too many Lings to clear up those Zealots. Now finally churning away on 3 hatcheries, trying to get up to 4, getting as many drones out as possible before this Corsair starts getting around the map, killing Overlords and hassling him even more, and he has to go into the next phase of the mid game just to keep up with the Zealot production from YSC, trying to get as much production going as he can. He can't even afford to throw down the 5th hatchery yet. It's a little bit unfair for him, but he will eventually get into that mid game macro. But 1 Zealot in the natural expansion might spell disaster. A lot of lost mining time at the very least.
Oh, this is such a pain. You know that Action spread his drones all over in the middle of the map, but he didn't check that bottom pathway, and that just happened to be the area that YSC was running 1 Zealot through. Blocks him from getting into the main, but this is already a ton of damage. Might even get one of these drones. He gets a drone! A second one almost goes down as well. Really painful stuff after losing that mining time. Also losing a drone. Now 2 more Zealots making their way over towards this 3rd base. Action is being tested to the absolute max.
To the absolute limit, saying, and you can see why they threw out YSC in this lineup and as the first player pick. He's really been playing his A game recently. Beautiful tactics again, getting behind these minerals, frustrating Action as much as possible. Even a drone drill going to be coming out from one of the drones, trying to help slide the SCV, the Zealots out of position, but not able to do so. Does finally get a good surround on that Zealot after killing the first one, but really maximum damage for least amount of effort here from YSC. An absolute taxing Action to the limit. Like we were saying, it's kind of crazy to think about just how madly impressive YSC has been playing these last few days.
I don't know if you saw that, Shun, but there was a that Zealot that was behind the mineral patch. He managed to target down that drone as well during all of that micro that was going on. Action loses a drone as well. Now he's sending a bunch of Hydras across the map, but it seems like it's been hidden well enough. YSC does not know about these Hydras coming, and he could just straight up lose. This has been hidden very well by Action, and YSC is being really prudent, very scared with his Corsairs. He's afraid of some sort of Mutalisk all incoming, but it's actually going to be a very quick bust. However, no Overlord at this natural, and we've already got a DT out. That could throw a total wrench in this plan. There's the Overlord coming. Overlord with speed is going to make its way to the front. That could be the thing that clinches it here. Some of the cannons are on the way. This DT's here to buy that time, but he might be able to chase it down. Oh, it's buying extra time by running up north. Some of these cannons are going to finish. It's so close here for Action, but I don't think he's going to be able to break through.
This is absolutely wild. I think he might just barely be able to do it if he target fired the cannons absolutely perfectly, but there's so many cannons that are about to warp in. He can't keep up this like whack-a-mole with all the cannons. He's getting High Templar. That's a big pickup. He can't kill all the cannons as they're warping in, but he kills a few of them. Now we can maybe start to build up a few more forces and maybe start to take out the periphery, kill this gateway off at the very least, and establish himself out on the map by macroing up as hard as possible. Really crazy stuff. He was basically in 4-hatch Hydra mode there. Couldn't even afford the 5th hatchery, so he just decided to commit to a 4-hatch Hydra timing pre-storm, and it worked out pretty good. But a lot of cannons were forced from YSC as well, and each cannon you make is a whole gateway worth of production not being utilized, so it has slowed down YSC for the time being. And it looks like the Corsairs won't be able to support this Dark Templar getting into the 3rd base.
I look at this game, Shun, and I feel really bad for Action right now. He's so low on hatches. He's only got 4 hatches. He's got such a tiny drone count. Chasing that 1 DT up to the north rather than trying to just go for the bust I think might have cost him this game. He had an opportunity to run in right before all those cannons were finished. There was only 3 zealots. The DT was buying that time, and man, he just lost the opportunity. Now his macro engine is so far behind. Action has almost no chance of powering up to 6 hatcheries before YSE can come out with 8 gateways and just start pounding his defensive positions. It's going to be a nightmare for Action to hold on against this upcoming attack. I don't know if he can do it, but he's still going to stick in here and try. YSE's got a DT over at 12. He's waiting for a 4th base to come out. A very prudent maneuver by him, just keeping tabs on when the Zerg is ready to expand. Here comes that drone right now. He might even get that kill. Pretty annoying stuff for Action. Yeah, here it is. Look at that. Oh, he didn't notice it. He didn't notice it. It was a good move, but just wasn't quite paying attention at that moment. Action will clean that up. There's those extra hatcheries, but look, Shin, they're coming up. It's almost 11 minutes and they're not done.
Yeah, the 8th gateway's just finished in the main base as well. So you got 8 gateways worth of production already churning as the hatcheries aren't quite finished up yet. Eventually he'll have the necessary tools to deal with this, but it's a lot longer for these hatcheries to come online than it takes for gateways to build. So there'll be a lot of Protoss influx of infantry coming out and just not enough production for Action to keep up with, at least for the time being, until he can get these 7 hatcheries up and churning away on 4 bases. If he defends with just lurkers like this and tucks himself in, he already killed 1 High Templar. Maybe there's just not barely enough Storm to come in here, but it is usually quite devastating if the Protoss can get on top of your defenses with Storm. They're killing your units and your drones, and you're using your own SimCity against you can be problematic. So let's see how YSE navigates these waters.
Pantheon is a bit of a difficult map to hold all of these lanes as well. Protoss has 3 areas of attack. They can go up onto that high ground over at 12 o'clock. They can try to push through the center over towards your natural, or they can go through the high ground to the south of the natural and try to push into that location. It's so tight in that area. It's very hard to take any sort of good trade, and Protoss can get right up on top of your natural. So it's pretty tough situation here for Action. He's getting his gases going. He's got that 4th base online now. The 4th base is going to come up for YSE in a moment. There's no shot that Action can stop this 4th base, or this 3rd base, excuse me. And in fact, YSE could probably just take a 4th right now if he wanted to, because Action is on full defensive mode. If he wants to win this game, he's going to have to take it long.
Yeah, and he's going to be on Battle Zerg until he identifies this 3rd coming up. He has got a scout coming in now. I think there's a Scourge coming in to check this timing of this 3rd. He sees that. Now he'll know he needs to make a Queen's Nest and transition. I doubt he'll think he can bust this. He should know full well that unless he wants to just like put some pressure onto the rally point, there's no real counterplay to this. And YSE's already set up to prevent any pressure to the rally point, as we can see by just how many Dragoons have already been made. So pretty much nothing that Action can do will be working out for him, at least in terms of offensive maneuvers. So he's gonna have to just turtle up, build up a massive army, and just like skirmish around the map with a control group of Hydras or 2.
Taking another corner of the map will be Action's next move. He may end up going for something crazy. There's a hive tech on the way. Like a drop play can sometimes get you back into a game like this. Dropping a couple lurkers in the main, a couple in the natural, and then just waiting and holding on against the counterattack can be strong. But it seems like he wants to play more of a straight up game. He's just moving his army around the map, looking for little skirmishes, try to pick off a Templar or 2, and then angle for maybe top right, try to take that base. It's a little bit easier to stretch over to that area because you've already got 12 o'clock. But if he can secure that top right and prevent bottom left, then there is a hope and a prayer in this game for Action. But there's no way for him really to prevent a 4th base from coming down. YSE is eventually going to angle to get that. He's already got the probe down here. One little group of Lings going to deny that for a moment, but it's kind of an inevitability at this point. We've got so much supply. YSE going to move around to skirmish. Now, he could make a big mistake and overcommit into a whole bunch of lurkers before he gets this 4th base out and lose his entire army. Action's so good at surrounding with these big late game armies, Lings and Hydras. He moves them like just about nobody else can. So we'll see if he's able to surround this army or not. But He's going to have to take an amazing trade if he wants to wipe this army out.
Well, this absolute macro god over here has got 170 supplies somehow, even on supply with a Protoss. Just as he finally gets to the doors to start knocking on them, he might just have enough critical mass finally have been reached so he can finally just thwart this Protoss threat. But it's very difficult to do in these tight pocketed areas with good storms. Can spell disaster for the Zerg. One pretty good storm there does kill one of his own High Templars, though, able to break through with these rallied units coming across the map. But there's a lot of Dragoons here in the main standing army of YSC that has decided to turn tail and run at the moment, maybe because of the exposed reinforcement line and not able to get this fourth base underway. So it looks like it's instead going to be taking his gas off the pedal, taking his foot off the pedal and going all the way back down to setting up this fourth base because of the counterattacks that Action's been using over and over again down here, denying this fourth base going up.
Some really decent counterattacking there from Action, just kind of baiting YSC into taking a trade. Of course, YSC wants to take those trades. He wants to cast his storms. Use up some of that energy and get some value out of it before moving in or moving away, moving back, and just kind of gathering up that army again. Action trying to take a base down here in the bottom left. He's got a Nidus on the way. He's going for a counterattack, but this is just pure Ling versus Zealot and Templar, which is pretty favorable for the Zealot Templar army. Egg on the ramp, trying to buy some time. Nidus Canal on the way. This could be the moment here where Action starts to fall apart. He's just desperately waiting for that Nidus to finish up so he can start to pile through a bunch of lurkers. It's super, super close. Dragoons are getting stuck on this ramp. He's going for it with the DT. The DT here is clutch. He's going to kill the Nidus. So many lurkers pop through, but they're kind of stuck on an island. And the DT here can do so much damage. Okay, the DT gets picked off, unfortunately. That DT could have killed every lurker here without any air support, without any overlords to help out. But looks like the lurkers will fall eventually anyway. A counterattack is coming from Action, though. He's going to go ahead and try to, deal some damage. Maybe go for one of these bases while this base in the bottom left gets taken down.
Yeah, it's taking a lot of time. It looks like YSC's already identified that he needs to start retreating some of his army already while he kills up the hatchery. Huge amounts of Lings trying to skate into this tight nook and cranny here, but the Zealot's doing a great job of just body blocking and buying as much time as possible before retreating to the safety of the cannons. A little bit of storm in reserve going to help butter the bread as well before it comes in to the toast to be made into toast, but there's not quite enough juice left in the tank to keep storming everything. But with the reinforcing army coming from the south and the west, there's not really a lot more damage. Maybe the lurker can get a few probe kills here. That would be something if he can kill like 2 lines of probes with these 2 lurkers. Okay, it's quite a significant amount of probes going down. It's not too bad.
Oh, he might be able to get the Nexus as well. Look at these cracklings doing a ton of work. Oh man, he is going to lose this Nexus. That's huge. Action losing bottom left, but getting the return kill. He threw away his entire army to make that happen. But it's worth it if you can kill that base. Base at 6 o'clock is coming up, but it's only got 2 cannons. He could probably cancel this.
Oh, this is absolutely crazy. Action's just been on fire today with the counterattacks, and finally starting to smell blood in the water and just going for it like a hungry shark. And YSC floundering at the moment. He can't quite make the right decisions. Like, everything's kind of falling apart a little bit for him. His army's out of position right now. He's going to keep losing these bases that he desperately needs to get online. He's now mined out in his main and his natural expansion, just down to 1 mineral only base. His main mining base is not a lot of income right now for YSC, and not a lot of gas either. So needs to get this 4th base online desperately, or he will be dying very quickly.
Yeah, that kill on the 4th base was huge. There was a bunch of army from YSC that was kind of left down at bottom left corner, and he, rather than sending it to defend 6 o'clock, sent it over to the center left to check if there was a base with the whole army. Nice plague there. Had he sent that to bottom center, he could have had a 4th base right now, but he's struggling to take that still. And now he's pushing in here towards Action, who is sitting on 4 bases. He still hasn't got that 5th base up, but as long as he's got a base over his opponent, he's going to be okay. Coming around to the back, he's going to get this flank going. A lot of these Dragoons have been plagued, but he doesn't have Dark Swarm. I don't know where the Dark Swarm is at, Shun, but he really needs it to hold off against all these Dragoons. If he had 1 Dark Swarm, he could hold off everything. But he's being pushed backwards. Here we go. He's going to get the Dark Swarm finally. Should be able to bring a group of Lings. Another plague. Okay. Can he actually clear this army? It looks like he will eventually, but this is going to be a bit of damage here at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage incoming his way. There's some lurkers trying to pincer between the army here to see if he can get enough damage done with these lurkers before they get picked off. But even though they're plagued, it doesn't matter. Phase disruption shots are absolute havoc upon the HP of a lurker, and they do rip them apart quite quickly. Finally, though, shriveling up this Protoss army little by little, he will be able to dry it up enough that he can stop these bases from going down, it looks like. And that's going to be really clutch. I thought for a second they was going to start to lose drones and bases to how many Dragoons were able to be fielded there, but it looks like the trickle of Protoss is slowly starting to dry up. Maybe he can keep the pressure on for a little bit longer, though. Some of these extra Zealots will keep these Dragoons alive. I think about half of those Dragoons are plagued, so they will die pretty quickly once their shields have been shedded. So this is looking really close right now. I think with I think now the Protoss will be out of juice, though. I can't see how he's going to keep breaking through Action.
Yeah, Action doing a great job with the counterattacks. He's stopped bases from going down, and still, with all this pressure, forcing every last bit of Action's army to the front to just deal with this pressure and this attack, he's still managed somehow to prevent YSC from taking another base. I don't know how he's done it, but YSC has not taken one. Is that a lurker behind there or something? It seems like it's only a...
Yes, it looks...
an overlord, or is there a lurker back there as well?
I thought it was a lurker, but it could just be an overlord.
Well,
maybe it's just an overlord.
Somehow he stopped that base from going down, and now YSC is just about out of juice, man. He can't do anything. Yeah, it's just an overlord back there, but the army's going to move forward. He's going to try and take another base. Nidus Canal in the top right-hand corner. All of the Dragoons from YSC's army are now gone. I thought that he might be losing this game when... or Action might be losing this game when he didn't have Dark Swarm for that massive Dragoon army, but he somehow managed to clean it up. Now YSC kind of has to camp and just wait for this fourth base, because he cannot put on pressure and end up losing that base while he's across the map. If Action just stops that one more time, the game is over. He's gonna pressure here at the front, takes a big plague. Action is backing up into a nice defensive position. He doesn't have anything on this high ground, but he's got plenty of lurkers behind this. This is too big of an army. Action equal on supply. YSC not going to be able to break through here. He's sent a few Zealots and an Archon up to 12 o'clock to try and deal some sort of damage, but he's long distance mining over at center right. He's finally got enough minerals to make a Nexus, but it doesn't seem like he's going to do it. He's just going to keep trickling Zealots across the map into Action's hands. This is a rough game for Protoss.
Yeah, he's picking the suboptimal option just to have any hope at running over Action and getting a bit of a tempo swing, but he's not been able to do it. He's not finding the compensation that he's looking for, and now it's going to be like coming back to haunt him that he never made the decision to throw down this Nexus, because that means there's not going to be any more outs for him to draw out of the deck. It's completely run dry, saying the win conditions have just evaporated like sand through his fingers, and now will be in the final throes of his death. Just contemplating as he shuffles off his own mortal coil here.
GG. YSC taps out. Dude, that comeback was pretty insane. Action making the right moves there, even though he incorrectly predicted that was going to be some sort of fake cannon rush. He ate a huge amount of damage, being forced to throw down that third base so late. He managed to bring it back somehow. He didn't even kill the Forge, remember? He forced out a ton of cannons, but he didn't kill the Forge, and he had such a tiny drone count. That type of situation is almost hopeless for a Zerg player, but he somehow managed to hang on to 4 bases and get himself into Hive and then just win through counterattacks pretty much alone there. Really impressive stuff from Action. Let's jump into game number 2. Action able to clutch out a victory over YSC there in game number 1 from a pretty difficult position. Now going to be going up against Snow in game number 2. This will be played on Minstrel, a map that's given us tons of great games. I'm going to be sad to see it go when the new map pool comes out. I'm not sure that they're going to keep it in, but I have a feeling that they're not going to keep it in. I wish that they would, though. Honestly, it's a fun map.
Right. Oh, it's a very fun map. I mean, I guess also as fun as it is frustrating for some people, but once you get used to it, I imagine not quite as frustrating. It's just that learning curve of like, oh my god, there's a new map and there's so many more new intricacies I've got to try and like internalize and get down, and like even a pro gamer is going to struggle with like following the nuances and the new ebb and flow of some of these weirder, wonkier maps, and it definitely does have a weird vibe to it with like getting used to the pathing of 5 separate lanes and whatnot. So yeah, I would be ashamed to see it go now that we've come to like learn its like intricacies and whatnot. I would really love to see more games from this because it is interesting the amount of craziness that can occur here, and it kind of does force a bit of like lopsided matchups as well. Like it makes it hard third gas for Zerg and Zerg versus Terran and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. Overall, I would say it'd be a shame to see some of these maps go, but some people would be like saying good riddance.
Kind of when I first saw the map and I saw how many lanes there were, I was thinking that this was going to be something similar to Eclipse, where in every matchup people are going to be counterattacking absolutely non-stop, and it's going to be really annoying to deal with. However, the complexity of the way that the map is formed, it's leading to some really interesting situations, and not just pure counterattack play like I expected off the bat. And we're gonna go for a gas here. Whoa, action. Grabbing that gas pretty early on. He's being blocked from taking his third hatchery, but he has some other sort of plan going here, and he's forcing this probe to stay a little bit longer here to block the hatchery. And Snow might be thinking he's getting the lead, but he's not going to see the timing on this gas. He could be blindsided by some sort of tech.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what build order Action went for here, but I mean, it looks like he does want to take a third base at least, but this could be, he might be wanting to set himself up for a link speed into free hatch Hydra. He doesn't know exactly what's coming his way. He doesn't know if this is Forge or Gateway first for sure. I mean, sometimes the probe scout timing will tip you off, but sometimes the Protoss player will be good enough that he'll obfuscate that by when he sends his scouting probe out in the first place, so you can never know for sure. Looks like the first gas is going into link speed, so I think it might be link speed into potential Hydra bust here from Action.
And that very fast gas is kind of unscouted by Snow. He doesn't really know how much gas has been mined. You can't click on the geyser and figure out, click on the extractor and figure out how much gas has been mined. So he's gonna be a little bit in the dark. Oh, he's forced to cancel the third hatchery. It does die.
That's not part of the plan.
Yeah, if you are attacking with 2 zealots, it will eventually die. It will not. It doesn't grow fast enough to outgrow the zealot damage, but he had enough links to maybe harass those zealots. I'm a bit surprised he was more concerned about blocking this probe from getting into his main base and scouting his build.
I think that things were just getting a little bit too flimsy and like outside the range of what was acceptable to make that game plan still be okay. So we decided to like flip to plan B quickly because like it just made more sense to like cut your losses and like focus on the next game plan. Because I imagine that Action's like skilled enough that he's got at least like 2 or 3 backup plans if his initial thing doesn't quite pan out. And now the link speed's online, catching that scouting probe can have a lot more power and commanding presence out on this map. So the zealots will have to be just tucked tail behind these mineral lines and try and trade out as efficiently as possible with those. You can get 2-to-1 trades with these zealots with a good positioning of the Zerglings, but it's not necessarily easy. Some good shuffling of the zealots, as we can see here, will give you maximum surface area over time to work with, but with good counter control from the Ling, it's still easy to get in there and kill those zealots off, so not really buying too much extra value with those zealots. So Action doing a great job of cleaning up there.
Manages to clean up everything, and he's getting his third base down. Of course, he's got the macro hatch in the main base, another hatchery coming up here at the front. He's gonna go for some sort of 5-hatch Hydra, which is kind of a different way of playing than we see most professional Zergs try them. It's way more prevalent in the meta right now to get into a layer a lot quicker and grab this, you know, get some Scourge out pressure the Corsairs to make sure that they can't do the damage. A drone here not mining. That's very frustrating. Rare to see something like that, a mistake like that from Action. He may be a little bit flustered, honestly, because both early games so far have gone pretty bad against YSC and now against Snow, and it's scary to have a bad early game against Snow.
This is one of the first times I've seen Action a little bit on tilt. Yeah, it does seem like he's a little bit off kilter right now, and I think you might be right. I think it might be because things haven't gone to plan at all. So many things have gone wrong for him, and he's probably like, oh, come on, and he's having a hard time even just surrounding the probe with lings, and he's like sitting there and he refuses to do anything before the probe dies. You get that kind of tunnel vision sometimes as a Starcraft player, like, I'm not going to do anything until this one thing goes right, and then it's like you've just lost 3 or 4 or 5 extra seconds because you were tunnel visioned on that one thing. And now, you know, we got some drones that weren't mining and other things start to stack up, and that could cost him later on. He has still got all the tools in his arsenal to utilize this and turn this game into a win, so he's by no means out of it, but he needs to find his center again. There's a lot of Zealots pressuring the natural expansion. Needs to get more Hydras here. Have got speed before the Zealot legs kick in like 20 or so seconds, so can use this time to micro a little bit, but eventually that legs will kick in, and those leg enhancements will spell disaster. Utilizing the drones to buy some time, body blocking with a good surround, good drill from Action. Pretty much should be able to clear this up now with that drone drill, pretty much negating most of the damage that could have come out from Zealots, from Snow Zealots here, so pretty good all around.
Not bad though, killing off a few overlords there. Snow putting up some safety cannons, recognizing that there's quite a few Hydras out on the field. Does need to be a little bit safe now. He's going to continue to scout with these Corsairs, see if he can get any damage, see if he can spot any location that's not covered by Hydras that overlords can be targeted. But back at home, he's going to be adding on those gateways, getting into this next phase of the game. And Action, he hasn't been able to put on any pressure at all, and he's just been eating damage non-stop. However, with the 5-hatch Hydra and the way that it works, you are going to have a pretty decent supply and a pretty good number of Hydras at this point in the game. So he's power spiking a little bit right now, but you can imagine that Snow is going to start to put the pressure back onto him very soon with those extra gateways coming online, and it'll be up to Action to get his Spire out and get all the other parts of the build that usually you'd already have at this point.
Right. But yeah, in StarCraft, you have an option of focusing on economy, tech, or army, and basically Action is only focused on economy and army for quite some time, and that's not usually what you would choose in Zerg versus Protoss. You'd usually have tech in there in some way, shape, or form. It'd either be tech and economy or tech and army. You know, usually you're not going for this sort of like, you can go for like say 5 hatchery before gas and do these other kind of very economic styles. They're just much harder to pull off at the pro level.
There's a lot of different holes that can be exploited, and Snow is looking for opportunities to exploit those weaknesses. He's got 3 Zealots chilling down at the bottom center. He's sending out 3 more to a different pathway. He's going to start to pressure into the natural and the 3rd base most likely at the same time while sending in the Corsairs. These type of maneuvers are very difficult to deal with. Action's going to try and maybe take a 4th right now. He's sending his Hydras out on the map. Okay, sees these 3 Zealots. The other now 5 Zealots going to make their way over towards the natural most likely. More Hydras are going to be popping out, but you can see that Snow is bursting ahead in supply. There's gonna have to be a lot of good micro here from Action and a lot of good multitasking to deal with all the counterattacks and shenanigans that Snow can pull out.
Now, until he has an army of Dragoons, you can skirmish quite heavily with the Protoss player. In fact, that's usually what you want to do. You want to keep your Hydras out on the map and keep baiting out storms, running back over and over again until he gets all the way to your base. Kind of like forcing a Terran player to siege up over and over again until he gets to you. You kind of want to do the same thing with the Zealot Templar tech, if you've got enough critical mass built up of Hydras to do so. Seems like a little bit of defensive measures from Action though. Beautiful surround from Snow, tries to get good surface area on these Hydras. Isolates 3 on the eastern side as well, trying to back up to the to the gas, but I'm unable to get behind the doodad that's underneath the gas, so most of those Hydras get isolated. Pretty good pickups from Snow all around, unable to come in and get an Overlord on the exit, but Mutalisks now are out and they're able to maybe do some interceptions here on these Protoss units. He can start to gun down with these Mutalisk Glaives onto these Corsairs that are desperately trying to get to safety. Maybe at least one of these Corsairs will die.
Nice pickup there. dodging the storm very nicely as well. Checks the main base just to make sure there was a cannon there. He sees the cannon, so we'll back off. This is a great switch up from Action. You know, you see the 5-hatch Hydra, you're not expecting a big round of mutas, and it can come out at any time. Once the layer is done, the Spire can be made, and Action's gonna leverage this control that he has now with the mutas, and not too many Corsairs to counteract that. He's gonna utilize that advantage to get this 4th base online and really power up. A lot of drones coming out. If Snow tries to move right now with only 3 Corsairs and a few Dragoons, we could see every Templar get sniped and an easy hold from Action with just mass Hydra. But I don't think that Snow will be that foolish. He's going to move towards his 3rd base, try to take that 3rd, get his open up his options and have, you know, more time to round out his anti-air so that he doesn't lose all of his Templars in his next push.
I hope you're right, Saiyan, but I don't know, something's telling me that he's going to lose a lot of High Templars to Mutalisks this game. Something in my belly is telling me we're going to lose a lot of High Templars to those Mutalisk Glaives at some point, some way, somehow in this game. I'm a little bit excited.
I don't see any DTs out just yet. Dark Templar made into a Dark Archon with a Maelstrom is insanely good against a composition like this. Of course, you never just go for it. When you see 5-hatch Hydra, there's no reason to build a Dark Archon, but there's the DT. Look at that. I just said it. DT is already out.
The Maelstrom has become such like a clutch comeback, and it was funny once upon a time the caster Tasteless used to say this is a great solution and more people should do it, and it turns out he was kind of right. More people should have done it, but it's not like something that's completely game ending or anything. But if you can get that Maelstrom and Storm combo off on a stack of mutas, it can be such a huge tempo swing that can be the thing that wins you the game straight up if they don't kill any High Templars by that time as well.
You can see how much Action is relying on these Mutalisks. At this point in time, last game, how many Lurkers did he have on the field? He had like 10 Lurkers ready to defend, and he needed them desperately to stop the Protoss army. He just doesn't have any Lurkers at home. He's making pure Hydra, and he's relying on these mutas to snipe Templar if Snow decides to push. Here he's coming in over top of the high ground. He's going to snipe 2 Templars immediately. The 3rd gets stormed. And he's just sniped a ton of the splash damage of Snow. Removed it from the equation and kept most of his Mutalisks alive. Where were the Corsairs during that?
I don't know, Saiyan, in Narnia, that was absolutely insane. He also forced the storm onto his own army, so also shaved off a lot of the shield hit points of his own units with the cleanup storms, trying to desperately deal with those Mutalisks. Finally, the Corsairs now trying to hunt down these Mutalisks that have already left the location, so not going to be able to find anything but maybe an Overlord or 2 with their efforts. It's kind of unfortunate. It looks like Snow's a little bit bitter about that. Has got a little Zealot hit squad out coming onto the map on this northern flank as well. Make sure there's no hatcheries that are being set up there. Will be finally cut off by the army, forcing them back. Their beautiful storms onto those Mutalisks that do manage to pick up those High Templars though, so pretty good trades all around. Even though he's losing those Mutalisks, he did kill more and more of the splash damage of Snow. There's not enough left in the gas tank to deal with the massive critical mass of Hydras that has been produced so far. Even on supply at 160, he's going to be hammering down on Snow soon. There might not be enough storms to deal with it.
Yeah, this is a very tight map though. The lanes are really close. Oh, great snipe on one of those Templars, but look at the storm on that bridge. Absolutely insane. You don't need many storms when the Hydras are gonna clump up like that. Actually insane. So much damage as he comes across that bridge. Action.
Wow.
Running his head into a spike there, just ramming it right up into his brain. Man, you can't get much worse of a trade than that.
No, this is full-on Battle Zerg as well, with the 4th base coming online for Snow. He's really behind the tech curve in this game from start to finish. He was hoping for a lot more damage there, but just 1 or 2 storms well in the chamber, able to like do some critical damage to Action as he came through. Like Snow's like John Wick sometimes. Like he's not really got a lot going for him, but he somehow manages to like, you know, put a gun together to fire off 1 bullet to deal with a guy that comes through, and somehow manages to skirmish his way to victory, even though he's getting beaten up along the way.
I don't think I like him coming down this ramp right now. At the Hydras are going to be flanked by some Zealots. These Dragoons are not getting very good surface area. There's finally a storm, but meanwhile, These cannons being taken out over at top right. I think Snow will stabilize and eventually save this Nexus, but Action's doing a pretty good job of pulling them apart. He's doing a very good job of macroing up a huge army, staying on Battle Zerg, sticking with just pure Hydra. He hasn't remade a bunch of mutas yet, and I've been watching bottom left this whole time. He hasn't been mining bottom left gas at all. So he's just
a few minerals.
Just a few minerals, and he's had that extractor this entire time. He's never mined that gas, and so he's just pumping out as many Hydras as possible and not looking for any sort of transition or any sort of remake on those Mutalisks.
I think he's even only got 8 hatcheries as well. He's not even quite got the 9 late game hatchery saturation that you would desire. So he's like just barely on the cusp of late game, refusing to progress forward any further in the tech tree, and is saying, I want to end the game right here, right now with what I got. And he might just barely have enough to do it, but it's going to be really crazy execution to do so. Starting to hammer on the natural expansion. Usually in the mid to late game phase, the natural expansion is most exposed location to hit. Only a few cannons and some zealots trying to hold that, killing most of those cannons and zealots getting gunned down quick. Protoss army being turned around right now. The desperate trying to deal with that, and that means there's no army coming up to help the top right. So if there's enough in the top right to kill that base off, that might be a little bit of a progression there for Action. There's enough forces here to weather this. If he can dodge storms, but he's not dodging the storms quite well enough. He dodges one of them pretty good. The Archon will be picked up before it's morphed as well. This is looking pretty good for Action. He's getting good trades. He's even on supply. He's putting the pressure on. This looks pretty good for Action right now.
Yeah, he's getting a bunch of free kills on some of these Templars that are coming out from the rally point. There's one cannon left. There's nothing really over at that third base aside from a few cannons. Top right has been saved, but the natural is about to go down. Some Dragoons coming out to help. One single DT here might be the difference maker. He's actually dealing quite a bit of damage to these Hydras. There are some Overlords coming up, though, that will eventually reveal that. Breaking in through the front. He's going to have to retreat up onto the high ground. There's still the safety of the high ground in that main base. Now that the natural has been mined out, there's really no point in holding this natural aside from just having those cannons there. Now that they're gone, he can sit here on the high ground and storm down, but Action will change his mind. He's going to head over towards center right. Now that the natural's been dealt with, now that the rally point has been contained, he can go up to these bases and try to take out the other locations that Snow has. There's no storm on this high ground, just a few Dragoons and a single Archon. Some army going to come out, breaking up his attention. Good storms here on this reinforcing army, but top right is being attacked at the same time. Snow is dealing with so much. He's gonna lose the Templar. Oh god, he lost that Templar in top right. He will end up losing that base as well. I think that was the killing blow. Action pulling him apart.
Wow, so impressive for Action. This is really high-level Starcraft we're watching. It's just barely. There's even a Dark Templar on the counter-attack, so if somehow there wasn't enough gas in the tank for Action, this would be the opportune moment for Snow to come back with the tempo swing with this Dark Templar getting a lot of drone kills, but there's not enough army cleaning up on aisle 5, so all these bases and probes are going to start to fall, and that Dark Templar's efforts will be in vain and won't be the tempo swing that it needs to be. Even going to be flushing that Dark Templar out with some Hydralisks. This is really great level play from Action. I think him getting pissed off earlier just made him play even better, Sam.
The probe block, the desperation out of Snow as he tries to hold on to the 4th place. There's nowhere left to mine. He's lost everything. GG is called.
GG.
What a crazy tempo game from Action. I mean,
Wow.
he made 11 mutas and then Hydras and nothing else.
He actually made 12. He actually made too many mutas. He made 12. He made 12 by accident, so he had to only use 11 of them.
Yeah, he threw the other one away. Oh man.
Oh, that's a crazy game. Wow.
Don't try that at home, kids.
Yeah.
If you try to make a play like that work, you're just gonna get stormed to death. Action out multitasking Snow. That is not an easy task.
No.
Whew, a couple of nail biters for game number 1 and game number 2. Wasn't sure about Action in either of those two, but he somehow managed to pull it out. I'm glad we're not getting a bunch of Hydralist busts here. Every game's been pretty insane so far.
Pretty insane.
Now we've got motive. who is probably going to open with a Forge here on Radion.
I'm not sure how motivated he's going to be feeling right now, Saiyan, but I'm hoping that he's going to come out of the gates blazing. He's already like come out with 600, 700 APM, warming his hands up like a Formula 1 driver, like, you know, zigzagging on the track, getting their tires a little bit warmed up before their actual trial run. Can make sense to do that, especially in StarCraft. If you're playing against someone that's already hot on a few games and you're coming in cold, you do want to get your hands to a warmer level as quickly as possible. Now going to be evening out after that first initial dash, so his APM will be a lot more normal the rest of the game, but makes sense to kind of get your hands going as hot as Actions will be feeling right now after that crazy game, and he's going to be feeling like an absolute god after that tempo win.
Yeah, it's not often that we see Snow get pulled apart like that with the layer tech, with Battle Zerg. He's very good at that multitasking it. Making sure that he has Templar everywhere and getting the storms off, but he missed just a couple of important storms and he ends up getting pulled apart. Motive looking for the pylon. Gonna try to get a cannon rush going. He has a second probe. Can try for it. If he gets a like a 2-on-1 with the probes, he might be able to kill one of these drones. He's going for it. He's gonna get that drone. Oh, he gets it. Very well done. Now he can 2-on-1 again. Gets the one probe. He will get the pylon down though, and make some space for this cannon.
Yeah.
Pretty good control overall from Motive. Action losing a drone already and not able to block this. It's gonna be feeling kind of rough. Only one cannon though. Or was that a second cannon? I think that was a pylon actually that had to be thrown down. So
yeah,
he's only got one cannon going. That's definitely beatable. With just one cannon, you can start to break this. Another pylon, another cannon. This is a heavy commitment. Heavy commitment from Motive. And here comes the double creep colony. He wasn't able to block it. That's really important that he wasn't able to block that there. Gonna start to work on these sunken colonies, and I think that Action might be able to hold this, but man, it's gonna be close.
Just barely. It's very close. I'm not sure how close the second cannon will be to finishing up. With the Lings coming in to buy some time and getting in here, it should be fine. The second cannon should finish, but won't be able to kill this sunken colony in time. He's going to try and get a few hits on it with some manual target firing, but now I think the sunken colony just barely wins.
Oh my gosh, it's so close. The Lings can't get in here. They can't get in here at all, but the sunken colony wins. It was a really clutch thing that Motive did with the top sunken colony. He brought it low enough so that when it spawned, it only had 1 HP, and then he used the probe to hit it. So he used the probe to hit it right as it spawned, so he didn't waste any DPS with the cannon. And the cannons could just deal with the Lings there. So that was very clutch. Action just barely managed to hold on. Maybe if Motive had just targeted the sunken colony, the bottom sunken colony, a little longer, since the Lings couldn't get in to hit that second cannon, maybe he could have done something there. But as it stands, this is great for Action. He did have to build 2 sunken colonies, but there's so much commitment from Motive.
I've got a bit of a theory about Action. My theory is that he's such a strong macro Zerg that he wants to go for like really strong macro builds, and everyone knows that and knows that's his strength. So they want to do everything in their power to punish him with these early game shenanigans, but that in turn has made Action so good at dealing with early game shenanigans and walking like really weird territory, and he always seems to find a way of like calculating the min-max way of dealing with it.
That was not a stronghold by any means. That was a very close thing, guys. If the probe gets over the mineral patches a little bit earlier and manages to block one of those sunken colonies, like stop it from building immediately, or if the targeting was a little bit different there for Motive,
there's like a tightrope of calculation there. Yeah, it's like to be confident that that's enough to deal with it is insane. Like, I mean, I was pretty sure as a caster, but only because I've watched so many of Action's games that I've got enough knowledge to kind of be sure about that. But most of the time, there's no way you could be sure that that would work out.
Very difficult to walk that tightrope, but Action's done it successfully, and because he has defended rather than in the game versus YSC, he is now ahead. And we already saw what he could do versus YSC when the cannon rush goes well. We're going to see a totally different version of Action in this game when he is in a good position. He's going to be pumping out an insane economy and driving it into late game very, very quickly. He's already got the layer down. He's got everything that he wants. And he's had none of the big hiccups that he had in that game versus YSC. These two Zealots coming across the map, they look very tasty right now.
Yeah.
Really, really good for these Lings to gobble up.
But the probe's trying to sell them a false story here. It's like, hey, chase me, so the two Zealots can come in here and do some damage. They seem somewhat successful in that, buying a little bit of time for the Zealots to come in here and do their thing. But by the time that the Lings get here, they won't be able to retreat. They'll have to run around the back of the minerals, so we'll be traded out. So they're going to be gobbled up, and nice little tasty treats for action indeed. Don't really kill any drones, just deny a little bit of mining time. Very beautiful drone drills. For pretty good shuffling of the Zealots, though. We'll be getting some value out of them. Could be a lot worse. So he actually will now potentially put some pressure on the drones again, and gets one drone kill or denies more mining. That's a little bit problematic for Action.
I think that Action thought he could kill that with the number of Lings he had.
Yeah,
I don't think he built any more Lings.
Yeah, no, he always plays like this. He always plays like this, saying he always tries to just barely do it with the bare minimum. That's why he's so impressive, is because usually he can figure out the exact tightrope that he needs to be able to like get away with it. That one time was a bit of a misstep just because of how good Motive was playing.
Yeah, Motive danced those Zealots back beautifully, and this Spire is just gonna finish up. One Overlord will die, the rest will survive. Drones being sent forward. 3 more Zealots gonna come in to put on that pressure. Hopefully Action was able to pop out a few more Lings just to deal with this. I think he's got a good number, yeah. These 3 Zealots are gonna be easy picking. And this is a much better trade for Action. Still some good movement with the Zealots. Is gonna trade reasonably well, but Action able to get rid of all that and get back to droning. Double Stargate back at home. That is crazy.
That's wild.
That is wild that we're seeing double Stargate from Motive in this situation. I mean, it seems completely crazy.
He really thinks it's Ogre Zerg. He thinks that's what Action's going to do. He thinks it's cross map, it's Radion. There's no way he's going to commit to any fast Hydra Burst timings or any early pressure. He must be going for some kind of Ogre Zerg. Like, he's really convinced by it. He saw the second gas as well, maybe, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be occurring. I mean, 2 gas could just mean your standard Tekken. So, yeah, honestly, like, this is a little bit crazy investment from Motive. If he's correct, he sees 1 Stargate, not 2. So the Scourge are trying to come in and identify exactly what's going on. He might have figured it out by how many Corsairs are. If he's really on top of things, he would have been able to figure it out just by how many Corsairs have been made. But it's tricky to say because you can't quite see all the Corsairs. They're stacked up a little bit, so you can't quite get a good read on exactly the count. But he should have been able to figure out that there is 2 Stargates with a production here.
Well, either way, if he knows or doesn't know, he's got the perfect counter. He's got all of his Overlords over top of his Hydras. He's got plenty of Hydras here to deal with this. He's just been pumping Hydras absolutely non-stop. He will have enough to deal with the Corsairs that are coming in to harass, and as soon as he's got enough to deal with that, and enough to pressure, he'll force out a ton of cannons, and then he can just go back into droning if he so chooses. For now, he's gonna send Hydras out on the map and put on that pressure because he knows with the 2 Stargate, after seeing this many Corsairs this early, he can pretty much guess that this is 2 Stargate. He knows that there's not going to be early Templar and Storm, so he knows if he pressures, he can force so many cannons out of his opponent. We have Overlord speed. Overlord speed is done, but oh gosh, this is a lot of Overlords that could go down. Shin. 3, 4, 5 Overlords going to fall.
I don't know if he figured it out. I don't think he figured out that it was 2 Stargate. I think he maybe misread how many Corsairs there were, because I think if he wouldn't. It's hard to tell, but I don't think he would have left that many Overlords to die if that was the case, and he would be, I don't know, it's hard to know for sure, but does manage to finally clear up that DT. Now they're putting on a lot of pressure. There's only 4 cannons and 2 High Templar Storms. This is like bare minimum defense for a Hydra Bust at like 9 minutes, but we're at like 10 minutes. This is a lot more Hydralisks that have been produced in that time, so this is not enough. He's barely got enough Storms if he does fully commit with the Zealots are helping out, so the Zealots can help from the bottom and the top. He's betting out some Storms with just a bare minimum amount of Hydras that are trying to snipe this upgrade from being completed. The Forge is dangerously low on HP. I think it might fall despite being stormed here.
It does fall, and I believe that +1 attack was cancelled. And so Motive is going to be falling further behind. The Overlord kills were great, but he did sacrifice quite a few Corsairs to make it happen. And he's had to build so many cannons back at home. He's really slowed down his gateway count. That's a lot of gateways coming up from Motive after the fact. But we should have lurkers coming online soon. And the 4th base is on the way. Action's not missing a beat.
Yeah, he's pretty much like firing on all cylinders still. It's kind of crazy that he's been able to keep up with the Protoss' production every single game like this. He's been the absolute MVP for the Zerg squad so far. Like somehow, despite all the crazy shenanigans, later on in the game, he's even on supply, which is, it's hard to do even when you're playing a straight up game, much less when you're dealing with all those kinds of crazy shenanigans. There's really like miracle level stuff from Action. The Zerg squad really confident in his ability. Look at his perfect targeting from the Hydras as well, gunning down individual zealots at a time of manual fire rather than just letting them attack move in. That way you can actually reduce the amount of zealots so quickly that there's no longer an ability for them to get surface area to start trading out. They'll just have to tuck tail and run, and the trades just go too effectively your way. And Action is just like doing an absolute like 101 school on how to play Zerg in crazy situations right now. So
Action is playing a great game, but I have to question the decision making out of Motive to go for this 2 Stargate play. Oh god, losing all these Corsairs. Well, that was his only advantage, was those Corsairs, the number that he had early, and now it's gone. So mutas are going to hit the field. And with like 12 mutas, you just, there's no way you're going to have enough anti-air to deal with that. Absolutely no way. Even though he's got 2 Stargates, he's gonna die to mutas now. It's crazy shit, but that's how it's gonna happen.
That's how it's gonna end. So the entire time he could have like finally dealt with this. Now we see the Mutalisk finally come into the main base, and there's nothing but a cannon to deal with that. He's gonna be like really frustrated that he's got 2 Stargates, and now he's got Mutalisk just killing probes. He's gonna be like going, what? How did we get here? How did it come to this? Saying is what he's going to be thinking. It's crazy. Like, I don't know how Action does it, honestly. Like, he manages to get inside your head, under your skin, make you think that you got to do some kind of crazy gamble to win, and then you get into this kind of crazy situation. You wonder, how does it come to this?
When you see Action play a series like this, you wonder how he hasn't been able to get an ASL title or an SSL title, but it's all about the consistency, right? Action, he hasn't been the most consistent player. Today, he's showing that beautiful play that we know he's capable of, but he just can't seem to pull it out on the SSL days, on the most important days. Now I'm going to go after these High Templar. Here we go, diving on top of that. Just going to kill every single High Templar. Has the Hydra number now to just overwhelm this force. You can see he's coming in from every different angle, bringing up the Hydra forces to completely engulf this army. Zealots, of course, are going to trade and help these Dragoons to fight back just a little bit, but you can see how much red is moving northward. Another Templar probably or 2 going to move forward to try and help to get some storms. No, he doesn't even have 1 Templar in this fight. Shun, this is just straight up Dragoon versus Hydra, and the blue blood is going to be spilled.
Yeah, blue blood has definitely been drawn here. The royals are dead, and yeah, we're living in a new kind of authoritarianism, unfortunately, throughout the rest of the time. Just pure red across the board. GG finally called, taps out. Kind of crazy that Action is potentially going on an absolute all-kill rampage here.
Best gonna be sent out versus Action now. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the all-kill prize on the table, 800,000 won. Just 1 victory away from claiming that prize. Action licking his lips, hoping to take that $700 home, something like that, USD.
Yeah, about that.
It's constantly fluctuating.
There is a revive in the pocket still, but it might be best that is the one that's revived, because he's your Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's our only hope. He's the comeback king. Can he turn this entire season around right here, right now, against all of these Zerg players? Maybe he can. Maybe best is him saying.
Maybe he's him. I hope he's him. I hope we get a nice long series. That's what I'm always looking forward to when it comes down to these semifinals and finals. Whoa, a gas from Action. He's mixing it up here. He's gonna do something a little freaky. Maybe some sort of Ling all-in. What do you think that this might be? You know, there is that mineral patch at the front that's a little bit tempting.
So. I think it's very tempting, and he knows it's potentially going to be a gateway first, so the Ling speed could just like win outright with some good micro. You surround the first Zealot, and all of a sudden everything's like going to fall apart very quickly for Best if he can't get things together, block the wall with probes and whatnot. So I don't know, Saiyan. This could get out of hand very soon. He's lost scouting, Saiyan. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
He's gonna send that drone down the bottom right. He's gonna find Best immediately. Will he grab a mineral out of that patch? A little bit of foreshadowing. Or not. Take a little chomp out of that patch. He's gonna see the Lings popping here. Right as they show up, gonna immediately surround the probe. That's huge. He kills the probe. He's not gonna see the gas. He has no idea about the gas. That is massive.
The probe can't do any form of scouting or slow down now.
Yeah, Action has so much opportunity to just win right now. I'm not sure if he took a bite out of that mineral patch. He's sending the drone back home now, rather than sending it to the middle of the map to make a... Oh god, he runs by. What?
Oh wow, big misstep there from Best, completely misreading the way Action would have engaged and overstepped his boundaries and left a tiny little hole. And Action quickly went through that hole. He's a very excited guy indeed right now. Feeling giddy probably that he's been able to style on the entire Protoss squad in quite this fashion. An absolute madman. Action is definitely coming. It's like a Ugandan Hollywood film. Going to be trying to get us around on this Zealot that came out of the gateway just now with the speed kicking in. It's going to give him almost free surrounds all day, every day. Needs to be careful though. Free Zealot is a high DPS number. Forge is on the way. He's putting Action on the clock with this maneuver, saying you need to do something to me in the next minute or two, or these cannons will eventually stabilize. So Action's going to go to work, see if he can keep coming back in here and baiting the Zealots around, denying this Nexus coming in while trying to get surrounds on Zealots coming out of the Nexus. Only one gateway worth of production, but if he doesn't kill off these Zealots quickly, one does manage to go down. This other Zealot's going to be huge before he gets to the mineral line. It's going to be crazy advantage for Action now. Only 2 Zealots remaining to these Lings. More and more Lings coming from one hatchery, and there's another hatchery going up in the natural expansion. So eventually it'll be 2 to 1 hatchery worth of production as well. So he needs to get these cannons up desperately, but the pros will have to all come in force to get this online. So
surrounding the cannon with the probes is a great idea, but Action pulling the Lings over towards that main mineral line now without too many probes there. It's a very juicy target. You can't really fight, can't really, you know, just stack up the probes and try to fight these Lings. So he's gonna kill off quite a few of those probes. He's killed so many probes, and yeah. I mean the Nexus is down on the high ground, but he can continue to just harass back and forth between this main and natural. The cannon doesn't cover either of these.
Exactly. The cannon's only providing like additional support from more Lings getting into the main base and providing a safety for the Zealots in both production and giving them a home to run to. But the probes are just being absolutely devastated all game long, even though they're not necessarily dying constantly. A lot of them are being pulled and denied their mining time, giving Action precious seconds to catch up. Back at home, he's got 3 hatcheries on the way, 2 already finished, with drones slowly being added. Just a few extra additional Zerglings will have to be made for this. One Zealot will be critical in the main base, coming in and being super annoying. This could be the one thing that tips the scales for Best. Actually, a lot of these drones being denied their optimal mining paths and some precious time might be spell disaster for Action. He can't quite min-max his build anymore if he's losing too much back at home in terms of mining time. We'll be able to clean up this Zealot eventually, but it might just be enough for Best to stabilize here, and it's made it so that he was so focused back at home cleaning this up that he couldn't focus on his Lings in the base of Best anymore, and couldn't keep the pressure on, doing some damage in the natural expansion. So I think that Best might have done it.
Wow, Action is falling apart. Look, he's gonna lose this Overlord. No, just barely stays alive. So close. 2 more hits, that would have died. And I mean, Action, I think he lost a drone in the natural too. We didn't get it on screen, but I saw 3 drones at that natural. This one Zealot managed to get the kill. Out multitasking action. After action out multitask Snow, now Best out multitasking action. This is crazy, Shin.
Right.
Really putting on an amazing game here so far.
So far, so good. And we do have a Hydra bus potentially coming in, though, as a follow-up from action. I'm not sure if Best can identify this. He needs to just assume that there will be a Hydra follow-up and add additional cannons. He's making a safety pylon behind, so I think he knows that there's a possibility of this wall being completely chomped down, unless that's just a production pylon for gateways. I'm hoping that's a safety pylon for the wall, and he's going to add cannons right here, right now. That's another cannon going down. He needs to make, yeah, at least one more cannon, and a third cannon being added in just a moment here, and then he'll be reasonably safe. If he can identify this and make a third cannon and just cancel it at 99 if nothing comes in, that would be great. I hope he does that. I hope he makes a Hedges Bets cannon and cancels it at 99. I think he's thinking about it. He's doing it.
There it is. Gets that third cannon, and we're gonna have. It's a funny look at the placement of these cannons. Actually, there's like one hex in between the cannons. He's putting 2 in the main base. He expects some sort of Ogre Zerg. Yeah.
Yeah, it's either 2-hatch muter or 3-hatch Hydra bust. So he's trying to he's protecting himself from both possibilities.
Best's gonna add a 4th cannon. He has that Corsair heading out across the map. He's not heading in the pathway of rallies, so he's not gonna see the Hydras until they reach the front. But he's got 4 cannons. That might just barely be enough. Best has to add on like at least 2 more here at the front. He's got the mineral income to do it. He is gonna add on a bunch more cannons. Pull the probes as well. This is a lot of Hydras and Lings coming through the gate, but he manages to block very, very well. The Lings are getting chomped up in this very tight corridor. The probes are doing an amazing job of blocking everything. He's actually killing so many of the Hydras. So many Hydras have already gone down. He breaks this push. Oh man, Best held on perfectly, and that's very difficult situation. Gonna pull the probes one more time. He blocks a lot more of these Lings from coming through that small gap. Some of them do get on top. So many of the cannons are low, but 3 more warp in at the very last minute. GG.
Can you believe it? This comeback kid. He might do it, saying, this might be the guy. He might be him. He might be him.
He blocks the all kill and opens up the path for himself. 800,000 won. Can Best do it? Can he reverse all kill this entire Zerg squad? Soul Key standing in his way as the final boss. Who's gonna be sent out next? Who's the next minion that Zerg's gonna send out?
I don't know. I mean, you either send out someone like Soul Key and just try and deal with him now before King Kong gets too cocky, or you just like, you throw out Jadong and Hero and just hope for the best and leave Soul Key in reserve.
Best is like a dungeon delver here. He's going to he just beat level 1 after all the other adventures went down. He's going to level 2. Let's see if he can continue to progress. Let's jump right in. Ooh, shouldn't we live in the best timeline? Things are going exactly as I would have liked. The best for last. The best for last. You said it between the cast.
I mean, that's what he's the reason that saying even exists, Sam.
Yeah, look that up. Don't look that up. Don't look that up on the dictionary.
Just trust me, bro. Just trust me, bro.
Yeah, take our word for it. He is the reason. The etymology for that saying comes from Starcraft Broodwar. Best down here in the bottom right on your favorite map, Shun.
Yeah,
we're here on Monty Hall. This should be a lot of fun. Action.
I hope so.
Versus Best. So he's been revived. Oh my gosh. They just instantly revived Action?
Yeah.
Well, I did not expect that. I actually crossed his name off.
They're like, no, he's got it. They're trying to say, no, things. That was just a glitch in the matrix. He's still him. So they're putting him back out again. They want him to finish the job right here, right now. But Best might be the gorilla to say no. And they might even just, obviously revive Best after he fails one time as well. So, yeah, we could see nothing but Best for the rest of the evening. I don't think they're going to revive anybody else. I think he's going to be the guy that they revive now. So I'm looking forward to this absolute, blockbuster potential of a comeback from Best.
The monsters in the dungeon said that was just a fluke. You weren't supposed to get past that round number 1. That first floor was supposed to kill you, so you have to go back and try it again. See if he can take him out in round number 2. Dude, if he takes down Action for a second time without the revive, oh my gosh, it's gonna be insane.
Can you imagine if, like, the amount of confidence he would have for after bashing Action 2-0 after what Action did to his squad? I mean, Best is gonna be feeling it. Like, he wouldn't even just be thinking of the comeback as a possibility. He'd be seeing it as like a likely scenario of, yeah, I can take all these guys if he can get this win right now.
Oh my gosh, look at this. This is funny. We got the Overlord here. He's gonna... What is he trying to do? Is he trying to block?
He's
trying to block the mineral patch so that he can't click it? Oh god, this is hilarious. He does hop over though. Very nice control there from Best. Does get the Zealot into the main base. There's a bit of a cheeky maneuver there from Action. Trying to utilize the drone and the Overlord to mess that up, but Action gets it through. Gonna start to do some work on these drones back at home. Great pulls so far. Gonna keep these alive for now. Grabbing the low HP drones to do a little bit of a ring around the rosy play. The Lings are out now in force. Wait a second, hold up. A lot of these drones are low. One goes down.
He gets it. How does he find it? How does he find it? And how does he click on the pixel that perfect to make sure he kills the right drone that's already weakened? There was 2 drones that he could have targeted. He targeted one of them that was correct. Ah, so high level stuff from Best to still find compensation there. There's hope for him yet, saying in this game, still a pretty good cleanup from Action. Could have been a lot worse. I don't know. We might be seeing a lot of a 2-hatch muta play coming out from Action, or some like 2-hatch very fast tech play at the very least. I don't think he's going to be getting a 3rd base online anytime soon, so we're going to be seeing something crazy out of him.
Absolutely, for sure. But take a look at this. We've got 8 Lings, 10 Lings that were made in a situation where there's not going to be any more Zealots hopped over the wall. This is great for Best. He's going to get the Stargate in right away. And he's only made 1 Zealot. He only made a single Zealot. That's crazy. You're cutting so many corners here.
Yeah. If he can stabilize against this 2-hatch muta and not like lose the first Corsair, this could be crazy good for Best. There's a little bit of a window here where Best is, if Best gets caught off guard by the 2-hatch, then we might be in a little bit of trouble. I don't know. It depends on how much he... If he can avoid disaster with the 2-hatch initially and just get stabilized, get a few Corsairs going, build a cannon in his mineral lines, then Best is fine. But initially, Action could blindside him here and like really catch him off guard and maybe kill the first Corsair. Because the Corsair is going to be getting into his base like when the Mutalisks are like almost hatching, and sometimes you can catch the Corsair as it's coming in.
I think Best is gonna try to make a pylon right as that mineral field runs out. He's trying for it. Like, he's gonna attack the drone. He's gonna mine that mineral and then try to drop the pylon just to block. That's gonna be funny. Wait, here it is. Here it is. Can he get it? Can he get it? Oh, he's gonna run in. Oh wow, he's gonna go right inside the main. I did not expect that.
Expectations.
All right.
Oh, he doesn't get in.
Not able to see anything. But the Corsair's on the way. It's on its way across the map.
But the Corsair's not checking the tech in the natural expansion first, so he might be blindsided by the Mutalisk catching, and he might lose this Corsair. Because as it gets into the main base, he might be caught by the Mutas on the way back.
Right. Let's see. He sees a bunch of eggs.
Depends on the timing.
He's not heading towards the natural. He's not going to see it.
The Mutas are out in the natural, though. They should be able to catch it.
Oh boy, this is scary. Is he going to lose his first Corsair? Mutas have the angle, but do they have the time to deal the damage? Because cannons are coming up, and these Corsairs are going to make it back home. 2 Corsairs is all he's got. Do you build a shield battery in a situation like this? I almost feel like the shield battery would be sick. But
it'd be clutch.
Two Scourge coming in. Shield battery is not going to help you against the Scourge. It definitely helps against the Mutas. He kills a few probes, but the cannons will finish. I don't know if this was worth it for Action. He's sitting here on 2 bases with a bunch of Mutas and Scourge, and there's enough cannons to deal with everything. Zealots are pushing in. They're gonna lose their lives to the Mutas, of course. The Lings will help with that cleanup. But, I mean, what's the future looking like for Action in this game?
It's not necessarily bright, you know. I mean, there is a window where he can still punish Best if Best makes a few blunders here and there. There is a way he can come into the main base and exploit the angles of these cannons in the main base. They're pretty spread apart. He can go to work on picking off gas probes or taking out one of the cannons closest to the mineral line, and keep pulling the Corsairs to and fro and trying to intercept them with Scourge. There is some holes, and he's actually moving out with the Corsairs right now, so he could get punished right here, right now. This is one of the ways that Best can lose, is that he doesn't stay in position with his Corsairs and gets caught off guard.
Corsairs are way out of position right now as the mutas attack this main base. They'll be sent back home. That's 5 with the 6th in the main as well. That's quite a bit of splash damage to deal with this, but he's already engaging without all of the Corsairs in the group. Does lose a couple of Corsairs. Now there's some more Scourge coming up. Another Corsair goes down, and another Corsair will fall. This is getting really bad for Best. He's taking this engagement pretty poorly. He tried to target down Scourge during that fight, but now he's at the point where he can't even target down Scourge without allowing them to connect. He can't return to his main base with his probes, and he won't be able to throw down a cannon anytime soon either. If Action just keeps on throwing Scourge and mutas into this main, he might be able to just win this game. He's pulling back right now, adding on more Scourge, bringing them around. Can he dive in one more time before the cannon is done? Okay, he's not even building a cannon. This is a little bit scary for Best.
Yeah, it's really scary. He's got 4 Corsairs to 4 Scourge, 4 cannons, 4 mutas. Really crazy stuff to deal with. He might even catch 2 of these Corsairs for free. Oh, doesn't actually kill any of them, actually. So, not too bad. He's got 7 mutas that are about softened up to roughly half, so I don't know, like, there's a little bit of hope for Best, but it's not looking great either. Like, Action's starting to catch up on the economic curve as well, so even if he doesn't somehow win right now, it doesn't necessarily matter either. So maybe these Zealots can get something done. They just barely weren't spotted by Action. He tried to scout to see if anything was down there, and he just barely missed them by like 1 or 2 hexes, so maybe that can do something. I don't know, but it's looking pretty bleak though. Defensively, I think eventually Action will whittle him down a little bit, or at least prevent him from catching up in the economic curve.
Man, this was crazy how much of a difference it made, the fact that those Corsairs were out of position when the mutas came into the main base. If 6 Corsairs were sitting over top of those 2 cannons,
right,
this is a completely different game where Best is most likely in a big advantage, but he's just been out of position a little bit too much. Scourge and mutas coming into the main. Okay, 1 Corsair goes down, but does manage to wipe out the Scourge. Action is switched into Hydras fully, though, and has his 3rd base online. It's a pretty even game, I'd say, don't you think?
Yeah, it's looking okay. I would say it's playable on both sides at the moment. It's looking relatively alright. Maybe even we can get an intercept on these Mutalisks here, some neutron flares. This might not be too bad, and Action's gonna... Oh, Action making a little bit of a blunder there. Forgot exactly where those moves were gonna stop, and now we'll be getting a lot of those Mutalisks caught. This is now looking, yeah, much more even game, with maybe even a tiny little edge here for Best, just knowing that there's way less chance of High Templars being sniped later on. It's just so much more comfort going forward, and those Mutalisks will be scouting a lot less as well. So all things considered, I would say this is looking pretty okay for Best now.
Yeah, the hatchery count's not too high. Drone count pretty low as well. He's just starting to really get into that drone production now and opening up these different pathways so he can really get his unit flow going. Meanwhile, Best's gonna come in, snipe a couple of overlords. He's preventing Action from fully stabilizing and really getting his drone count going. Meanwhile, mutas are gonna fly into the main, but these are badly hurt mutas, and there's cannons in the main mineral line, so he can't do too much with that. Corsair's gonna be driven back, but Action, he's starting to falter a little bit. His supply is even, but Best is getting his gateways online, and Action's struggling to open up some supply so he can get the drone count that he needs to fight later game.
Yeah, he's almost there. Like, he's not quite where he wants to be. He's going to try and throw down his 4th now, maybe throw down an extra hatchery or 2. He's almost into the production mode where he can keep up with Best. he looks pretty good on paper at the moment, but because of the way the map geometry is set up, Monty Hall, it's a little bit easier for Best to survive an exploit for the time being, and that might come back to haunt Best in the late game. But right now, this is looking pretty good for Best.
Best looking towards that third base over to the north of his main. It's already been denied once by Action, but with the amount of overwhelming air superiority from Best now, these mutas will be driven away. They're just going to be forced to run around and just kind of be a nuisance for the moment, but eventually Best will chase these down, and he is going to get this base online. So we're going to progress into kind of an interesting late game PvZ on Monty Hall. Always a fun opportunity to see this late game. What the heck? He missed those eggs. Oh
yeah,
no.
This could be big.
These lurkers are gonna run in.
Yeah, there is a probe here. There is a probe here, so he will see that there is lurkers. So he will have some heads up. So he won't just get absolutely like stomped by like lurkers running in and landing on his mineral line in the main or anything like that. But still, really frustrating that he's got to deal with these lurkers trying to contain him on these two other choke points. Trying to deny a third base being established by Best, while getting his own fourth up to try and get an advantage that way without having to actually engage head on with the King Kong for at least a little bit. This might work out for him, but I mean, with some storms, he will eventually push these lurkers back and establish himself in these lanes still.
This is a good tactical maneuver by Action. Getting in Best's face and forcing him into an awkward position. Best is gonna mine out those mineral patches down to the south pretty quickly. These overlords getting caught is kind of big. 4 or 5 overlords just suddenly gonna go down. Actually gonna be heavily supply blocked by this. What happened with the overlords that they just got kind of forgotten about in such an important situation? And we might see drop out of Action. We might see a number of different things. But he's going to be sticking on Battle Zerg, so we won't be seeing Hive Tech for quite some time. Fourth base is now operational. Fourth gas has come up. Will he actually mine that, or are we going to see another game where he just doesn't mine that and builds only Hydras?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that he doesn't intend on expanding anymore. I have a feeling he intends on just killing him with what he's got right now, and this will be full on like Battle Zerg, make nothing but lurkers, Hydras, and try and like hard contain into killing him. I can't see him doing anything else, at least for the time being, unless something makes him have to do something else. At Best hasn't been able to get a third base even on the way in with it, but has got this DT killing quite a few drones over here. I'm not even sure Action knows about this. He's still not running his drones, so definitely doesn't know about it yet. Really unfortunate for him. 9 kills, now 10. That's a lot of damage.
My eyes just rolled into the back of my head, and what is going on? Best, he gets these gimmies so often with the DTs slipping in and killing drones. We call him the comeback kid. Like, this guy is so good at coming back in these games because Zerg players are so often giving him these little windows. It's not to diminish, you know, what he's doing, getting in and at that perfect timing, just sniping those drones down. Not everyone can do this against Action, but what the heck? Action just forgetting about that position for a moment and not having an overlord there, he loses so much. And now, I mean, the idea was great. Like, the way that he was playing was fantastic, but now he's forced to make drones with this attack coming across the map. Can he even hold?
I mean, he can hold. He's got a great supply, healthy supply.
He can't surround this army,
he's got great
though.
Production, but yeah, he can't surround the army. It's Blood of Storm just devastating the lurker line. There's not enough Sunkens here, I would say. He would at least need like 5 or 6 Sunkens to maybe have a hope of holding this many Dragoons off. There's so much here, and with this tight choke of the units coming in the reinforcement, I don't know. There's an army coming into the main base as a little bit of a counterattack. A little bit of base trade scenario here. Only one singular cannon against all these Hydra Lurker. Maybe enough of a base trade can occur before Best can break through into the main. He's going to get this expansion, sure, but now he's going to try and Lurker contain this choke point. Maybe he can slow down and sandbag this army just barely enough time for this army to counterattack and get enough damage done in Best main inversely.
This is doing so much damage in the main. The snipes on the observers were insanely clutch. He managed to snipe one observer as the push was coming in. If he can go forward and just snipe a couple more observers, it's huge. He gets one. He's gonna get two. Oh my, his snipes are so good. Action, making this such a difficult game now. One single lurker over at this third base is being an insane nuisance. He's lost, he's lost all the detection. Everything just went down.
Yeah, everything. Everything.
Yeah, where's the cybernetics? I think the cybernetics at least is in the natural, but he's lost the Citadel and the Templar Archive, so he's so far away from making Templar. It's insane. Action just makes pure Hydras from this spot, I think, and if Best tries to move out before Templars can be made again, I think he's gonna get crushed.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be waiting like a minute and a half until he's even producing Templars again, especially if he's like struggling for minerals right now, which he is. He can't even afford these buildings, and it's like crazy that he's got to make units and buildings and he can't even afford to do both. I don't know how Best is going to stabilize in this position. Action is just playing like an absolute demon today. I think that's why they revived him. They knew that maybe it was just like, you know, a little bug in the game code. They need to like throw out a quick update, a quick little patch here, and get Best on the most updated system so we can feel the absolute wrath of Action. It's absolutely insane what we're seeing today.
Oh, that's so painful. Comes in, snipes one Templar. We are so dry on Templar and Storms right now. And a bunch of lurkers are gonna run over here to the third base. This is the only mining base. All the probes are gonna get annihilated. 11 kills and 5.
16.
Every single probe goes down. We are half the supply of the Zerg player at this point, and Action is gonna win this game. Beautifully done, just pulling Best apart. The counterattack was brilliant. I mentioned earlier that he wasn't able to surround the army, and it was a very difficult position for Action, dealing with that big attack into his center base, but he played it out brilliantly. The counterattack was fantastically done. The snipes on the observers, everything went so well, and now he's in a basically unlosable position with one Templar drop coming across the map. It's not going to be enough. Best taps out, and Action fires back, taking down Best. We're gonna get
revived.
We're gonna get the best of 3, I think. Best is gonna be revived here.
They gotta do it right. They gotta do it right. They gotta do it.
They gotta do it. Let's jump into that game. Okay, we just had a bit of a false start there. Some wackiness going on with our audio. Very trippy, but we've got Snow versus Action. I don't know what happened in the Protoss dugout in between games. Somehow Best didn't get revived. We already talked about it once, Shun, but you want to give your thoughts again?
I don't know. Two things could have happened. Either Best was basically like, nah, I can't. Like, he's frustrated. He just like had a little bit of a misstep. He moves out with the Corsairs. He's frustrated. Maybe he was like, nah, guys, I don't want it. Or the other guys were like, no, you don't get to play again because you made the boo-boo. So now we get to take over. And Snow's gonna be daddy that comes to try and save everything. Maybe Snow can be the guy to come back and destroy all these guys. It's possible. It can happen. Will it? I don't think it necessarily will, but it can happen.
Struggling as hard as he did against Action already, you can't imagine he's gonna be able to do it, but we're here, we're ready to see it. Nexus first comes out of Snow. We only made it to about the 6-minute mark in our previous recording, and something really funky we've never heard before happened in our recording. The sound got bumped forward about 3 minutes, and we started hearing Mutalisk attack when there was no Mutalisk on screen. Super weird, but we are here now. It seems like our audio is fixed, and a gateway after Nexus, Shun. This is so greedy.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that audio saying. It could have even just been a blast from the past, like from one of the previous games. Who even knows where the audio was coming from, but certainly wasn't what was happening on screen and really tripped us both out. But yeah, look at this, like a hatchery first, then Nexus first from both players. It kind of favors Snow a little bit more here. He's going to be feeling very comfortable. He can min-max his build even more, knowing that there's no early pressure. Doesn't have to be super safe against this. So yeah, this is looking pretty good for Snow. He's going to be feeling good about this early build order win, I guess. Action's not necessarily like out of the game or anything, just a little bit of a build order optimization advantage for Snow going forward. You do usually just play from behind as Zerg. You don't usually change your game plan too greatly based on these irrespective positions in the game state. So whatever he did have planned, he'll probably still go for here.
Yeah, playing a little bit from behind. Action is not a stranger to that situation. Even in this series alone, he's come back from some pretty big deficits. And it's going to be tough to take down Snow, who has an advantage with the Nexus first, but he's certainly shown that he's capable of pulling out some miracles. Snow here trying to get in with that probe, just keeping it alive and keeping a sight line on these eggs at the natural, seeing what he can see, and he'll have a single zealot out in the wall in just a moment, but he's delayed the cannon by a lot. He got the forge a little bit early, but he hasn't built this cannon yet, and he's already sent the first zealot out. This is so greedy. Super quick cybernetics core. He's gonna have the fastest Corsair you've ever seen.
Yeah, his whole tech line will be very quickly expedited as a result. Everything will be a little bit sharper on the curve of things, and he'll have so much more money overall that his timings will just be not only quicker but more powerful later on. So will be very strong and something for Action to contend with. He's certainly capable of doing that, but it will be just another thorn in his side to have to worry about while he's playing his usual game plan. I'm not too sure how confident Action's feeling right now, but you have to imagine he's feeling like an absolute beast of a man after killing so many players so efficiently, only having one hiccup, but the quick revive going to be getting back into things. Already he's taking out that probe scout before he can come in and really confirm too much as well. And with that link speed, going to be able to fan out onto the map and prevent any kind of zealot run bys as well. Going to be feeling pretty confident about his position, at least, despite being behind a little bit.
One thing to mention, Action can no longer get the all-kill prize because he's been revived. That doesn't count. If he takes down Snow here, he's not going to take home that 800,000 won. Snow also won't be able to take home the all-kill prize. He's been revived. He's already had his chance. And so that will continue to accumulate. Regardless of what happens in this game, but both players still going to be firing on all cylinders. A lot of pride on the line here. These two guys setting themselves up for a mental edge in the future. Want to take home this win. There's the Spire finishing up. The first Corsair is going to get in there and kill off one Overlord anyway, but can it get out unscathed? Some Scourge will be popping out in the natural here very soon.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit scary, and already killing one Overlord does temporarily supply block Action. He can't make any additional lings or anything to deal with this. Can't even drone if he wanted to. Not that he would want to. These Zealots can be very pay themselves in dividends if they come up here and deny this mining. There is a Sunken that's on the way, but the Mutalisks come out just in the nick of time to start putting down some DPS. They have got a lot of hit points, though, 100 HP and 60 shields and natural 1 armor, so it does take a long time for these 9 damage Mutalisk glaives to chew through that. So we'll be clearing up most of those Zerglings and maybe even get on top of this Sunken Conley or the drones. We'll be killing at least 1 or 2 of those drones if he does target those down, and he can outrange the Sunken, picking away at this macro hatchery if he wants to as well. So being as annoying as possible, comes back onto the drone line, see if he gets 1 or 2 drones. Can he? It looks like he might at least get 1 or 2 here with his efforts, so not too bad overall.
Yeah, picking off 2 drones there is pretty nice, but Action's going to be able to just spam drones now that he's pushed the Corsairs off the map and the Zealots are all taken care of. There's nothing but drones going to be popping on. Another drone goes down. That's some pretty good damage. Coming into the natural again. Very frustrating stuff. Just gonna split these 2 Zealots off and might even fight with the Zealot or the drones against that 1 Zealot. Meanwhile, the Mutas are heading straight across the map. 2 cannons are about to finish. You cannot fight this. He cannot fight this. He's got to back away. Great defense there from Snow at the same time. Dealing a lot of kills. 3 kills and 7 kills on this 1 Zealot. That's insane. Snow doing so well with these Zealots, breaking them off and dealing a huge amount of damage to the drone lines of Action.
I think some of those 7 kills were lings from earlier, but he definitely killed a lot of drones and denied a lot of mining time overall. Really high level stuff, forcing so many interactions out of action just as he wants to go into the main with the mutas. He's also got to defend against multiple locations of zealots in his mineral line. Really high level stuff from Snow, knowing the exact timing windows to punish action when he wants to go into full speed. He knows exactly how to, like, it's like in that movie Jurassic Park where the Tyrannosaurus Rex is chasing them, and he's like he's leaning so far back in the Jeep to get away from the Tyrannosaurus Rex that he's like lying on the gear stick so he can't shift the gear into a high enough gear. Exactly what we see here from like Snow, just like trying to lean on him like a scary dinosaur and can't even allow him to get into the high enough gear that he needs to. And this aggressive macro Zerg is not at the full speed that he wants to be at.
An apt reference there is kind of hamstringing himself by sending those mutas across the map rather than dealing with those zealots. I'm sure he's regretting it at this point. He's been forced to drone for so long because of all the economy that he's lost. He just doesn't have anything over here to deal with this one Archon. He's gonna rely purely, oh, he takes one shot. He's gonna rely purely on the micro from these mutas to deal with the zealots and not lose this hatchery. It's so difficult to do. He's taken already a lot of damage, and he's gonna lose the hatchery. The hatchery going down is massive, by the way.
Yeah.
This cannot be overstated. This is so much damage. He hasn't killed a whole bunch more drones or anything, but he's delayed the production by an amazing amount. He's gonna get a couple of drones on the exit as well. 2 hatches get thrown down, but Action is struggling in this game.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, if you want to be in a good position as Zerg, you want to kind of match the gateway count 1-for-1 with hatcheries. That's why in late game you'll see like 9 or 10 hatcheries at least worth of production to keep up with that 9 gateway potential of the Protoss player. But denying them that 1 hatchery is so crucial. It's going to take him so much longer to get up into full swing worth of production. Hatcheries take a lot longer time to build than gateways, for example, so it does hamstring him a lot in his ability to get his production underway. High level stuff from Snow. He really does seems to know how to pick apart at Action and peck away at him. Maybe why he was so adamant in going as the revive rather than allowing Best to. He can also get a little bit of a tactical play up here from the northern flank with this Dark Templar, pick off a drone and just run away. Again, really high level stuff, and without Overlord speed he might even just get away with the Dark Templar unscathed over and over again.
1 Templar over the top. Is that stuck? There's like a bit of a doodad there that might be trapping that Templar. It's kind of funny. I wonder if that is actually stuck over top of the mineral patch. I've seen a lot of players put their High Templar over the Nexus. Is kind of a normal play to try and hide it. Yeah, over the gas or over the Nexus. That little, you know, the little pinnacle of the Nexus can kind of hide the Templar, but I never seen one placed behind the mineral patches. It seems a little bit counterintuitive, but we're gonna have Snow start to move out of the map. He's got a good advantage so far. It is not trapped. That Templar will be able to escape. I guess there's a little bit of space over that doodad. Can slip out, and he's gonna move into the middle of the map, start to put some dominance, put some control out on the map. And there's not enough mutas right now just yet to snipe these Templars, and I don't think that Snow's going to make the mistake again of letting Action do so and take another game off of him like that.
No, I hope so. I mean, with the Mutalisks out and this many Scourge, I imagine there should be enough air superiority here that he can like be a little bit annoying with this. Maybe catch some High Templars eventually if he can get the Corsairs out of position. If Snow gets lazy with his army moving around the map, then anything can happen. Snow is the kind of guy to really be on top of that sort of stuff, though. He seems to be really focusing on improving his Protoss versus Zerg a lot lately, and we see that reflected in the kind of tactical approach to the game that he seems to be doing. But now look at the Scourge, maybe getting a dive onto these Corsairs. Only 5 of them, 1 of them really low HP as well. Tries to go for a turnaround onto those Corsairs yet again, but sees that there's a lot of Dragoons there. Phase disruption shots would make it too impossible to hunt down those Corsairs. Just shocking around for whatever he can. If he's not careful, he might box himself into a corner if the too much HP of those Mutalisks get shaved off. But he's going to try and swing around to this Nexus, see if he can come in here and snipe off maybe a High Templar or whatnot. But it doesn't seem like Snow's like being caught out of position at any junction just yet. So it seems like he's going to get away with just setting up this third base reasonably uncontested.
Action moving out to take his 4th. mineral only at the front, and this is a unique problem for Dominator. Taking this 4th base at the mineral only, it's so difficult to keep your drones alive at that location. Great Storm there, dealing with a lot of those Scourge. Now the threat is not nearly as scary. Diving forward with the mutas is going to be a bit tenuous. Quite a lot of Lurkers and Hydras are at the rally point for action, but he's got a lot of area to cover. He's got to cover this ramp over at the 3rd base. He has to hold this pizza slice at his natural, and he needs to hold the pizza slice to the right of his mineral only. Otherwise, Templar up on that high ground can just storm all the drones at the mineral only. So he has a bit of a tenuous position. He's going to go for some snipes, maybe on a Templar. He's going to get a Templar. That was a very high energy Templar, and it missed the storm as well. So that was a great pickup by Action.
Yeah, I don't think this is a very tenable position for Snow to stay, and he needs to do something that switches up. He's lost all of his Corsairs now, and the 11 Mutalisks are softened up a little bit. They are pretty bruised, but that's a lot of gas that he doesn't want to replace. He doesn't want to remake Corsairs at this stage in the game, so now there's no mobile anti-air. There's just Storm and Dragoons to protect these High Templars, and Dragoons are way better bodyguards than Zealots at keeping these High Templars alive, but if there's not enough Storm available to him, he can't really deal with a massive swarm of Zerg, so needs to desperately keep all these High Templars alive. These Mutalisks will be desperately sharking for more and more High Templar kills now that they know there's no Corsairs to deal with them.
Action's been playing a beautiful game.
Yeah.
Keeping these mutas so active, still getting in here and dealing more damage with them. It's incredible to watch how much he's actually managed to do with just this small group, and the number of Templar he's sniped, the number of probes he's killed, the amount of distraction, and just keeping a tab on this army as well. He's done so much with this. He's even managed to match the supply for Action up, or with Snow up until the last few moments.
Right.
It was 150 to 151 for a little bit, and Action is just exploding up once again, nearly matching the supply of Snow. I want to get a shot of the main. I haven't seen if there's a hive yet or not. It seems like Action's staying on Battle Zerg though.
He hasn't made a single drone for minutes. This 4th base, mineral only, isn't even mining. He's done nothing but make units. He's building up like a 200 army as quickly as possible. Going to go in now, kill as many of these High Templars as possible, force an Archon. Now there's not enough High Templars. Now is the critical time to strike. He's done nothing but make units for so long. Pure Battle Zerg hasn't made a single drone in forever. Now he's going to set up a massive surround. Most of his army coming up from the south, but there is a big contingency on the eastern flank. Going to be pushing across the pizza slice. A lot of storms going to be coming, blanket down those Hydras. 2 really good Psionic Storms forcing most of those back, but the main army is now coming from this other pizza slice on the western frontier. There is a few Storms left in the tank, but there might not be enough. Lurkers already in position, and now the reinforcing Hydras going to be coming from the east. The pincer maneuver into this as well. There's a lot of critical damage coming out of the forces of the Zerg right now. So many acid spines raining down from these Hydralisks. There's no more Psionic Storms to buffer against this. Just pure Dragoons in mass on the high ground. Maybe some more High Templars coming out of the rally point can deal with this, but there's so much red coming across the map saying the Nexus goes down.
An eye-popping number of Hydras just flooded across the map. You're totally right. He didn't build any drones for that 4th base. He was holding that for so long. I was totally expecting him to build a few drones at least to just saturate that base, but he's just built so many Hydras, and he's continuing to push across the map. But you know what, Jun? He does not have a future in this game. If this push doesn't work, and it doesn't seem like it's going to push into the natural or kill the 3rd, Snow's going to stabilize, and the supplies have completely switched.
Taps out.
Action wanted to win with that one massive push. It doesn't work, and Snow takes the game away, beginning the comeback. And, you know, proving his squad right and bringing him back as the revive. An incredibly close hold from Snow in that last game. Pretty interesting game plan from Action. He got so much damage with those mutas and slowed things down so much. It seemed like he had killed enough Templar to maybe push through with just pure Hydra, but I guess not quite. Not quite. Just barely miscalculated.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like that. He did so much damage, and he really did finesse Snow for so long and grounded him down to a nub. And I guess after he killed all those Corsairs and knew that he could finally commit with the Mutas again later on, he knew that if he just made nothing but Hydras, eventually he would just be able to bowl him over without enough Storm being in the tank to use, but barely being able to do so, just not quite enough Storm dodge or miscalculations coming through. It's going to be Jaedong sent out instead to try and contest Snow now. The dreams of killing all of the Protoss squad with just one player has now been dashed, and finally the rest of the lineup will have to come out. It's going to be Jaedong throwing out a quick base against Snow, but Snow was prepared for that. He's gone Forge first instead of Gateway, and he will try and put on the pressure with a bit of a cannon rush here. Denies the probe, the drone coming in behind the second pylon, so we'll be at least getting one cannon online here.
This is the most cannon rushes I think we've ever seen in KCM.
Yeah.
What have we got today? Like 4 cannon rushes already? 3 cannon rushes?
Yeah, at least that. At least 3 or 4, yeah. Action's been cannon rushed at least twice, right?
Yeah, that's right. And now Jaedong gonna eat this cannon rush. He's only pulled 3 drones, taking quite a bit of damage on one of these. Is he gonna build double sunken colony and try to hold on like Action? It feels like that's gonna be the play.
He kind of has to, I think, yeah.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can fight with drones anymore. It's too late. Cannons are gonna finish. He's doing something weird with this right now. He's gonna put a little damage on this. Oh God, he got trapped.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh,
He closes the door behind him. All these drones are gonna die. Like, he can't make a sunken colony. Okay, he's gonna make one to the north.
Yeah, but you can't even make 2. Like, you need like a tempo amount. You don't just want 1. You want maybe 2 going up at once to make sure there's nothing that can go wrong here. And this is a little bit annoying.
We lost so many drones. Oh my gosh, he's had to pull every single drone. He's gonna pull the lings behind the mineral patches. This is one of those things where it's like, okay, you just never thought that was even possible, did you, Jaedong? Jaedong never even considered the possibility that you could build another pylon and just block that. These 2 cannons back here. There's one more pylon coming up. He's using the glitch to get this sunken colony to fire a little bit farther. If you target the pylon and then try to target the sunken colony, even if it's out of range, sometimes it will attack the cannon instead, and he's managing to use that glitch to actually clean this up. Wow, he's gonna save the hatchery. Are you kidding me, Jim?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's really well done. He managed to get that sunken firing on that cannon quite a lot as well. Really, really impressive stuff by Jaedong to actually find that. It's super important that you know how to do that, because you can just get demolished by cannon rush over and over again, especially by pro level players. If you can't execute these kinds of holds, you just fall apart as Zerg if you don't have the technical know-how at the highest level.
Well, I think that Jaedong has kind of fallen apart a little bit here. He's supply blocked super heavily. He didn't build an Overlord during that fight. That's one of the things that can actually end you as a Zerg player. Even if you manage to hold a cannon rush, or, you know, a 2-gate or something like that, and you miss this Overlord, you can just kind of die, fizzle out. He's gonna throw down another hatchery instead, but I mean, he's got so much larva sitting, so much drones that were kind of missed out on. He's gonna try and run in now with these 2 lings, but with this group of lings, but the 2 cannons are gonna hold everything back. This is a dangerous position for Jaedong to be in.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few extra buildings that were coming out during the cannon rush, like the additional pylons to block and whatnot, so maybe there was a little bit extra slowdown on Snow's own economy and timings that Jaedong won't be too far lagging behind. It looks like he's electing not to take any gas and just go pure macro at the moment, so maybe nothing but lings, hatcheries, and drones will be made for quite some time.
He's got a bit of...
He's been 5 hatchery before gas.
Okay, 5 hatchery before gas. Before gas, it's a reasonable way to try and make a comeback here. You can get a lot of production going, and he should be able to...
He'll take the gas and then the 5th hatchery. You do 4 hatchery, then gas, then 5th hatchery, to like kind of make sure you've got like the Hydras on time to deal with the Corsair timing potentially. But he has a very strong macro play here, I think.
This is some good adaptability from Jaedong. From an awkward situation like this, it's so hard to tell exactly where you're at, how much has been lost for the Protoss player, and what you can get away with, but I think he's walking the tightrope pretty well so far. This Zealot is going to come in and be a bit of a nuisance. It's unfortunate. It's going to slip by the Overlord that was just to the right of that, and might get some sort of a drone or just a slowdown on the mining. There's that 5th hatch you were talking about after the gas, and this drone is going to have to run. Pretty annoying stuff for Jaedong to deal with right now. He really doesn't want to lose a drone. Oh my gosh, he lost the drone.
That's devastating.
So painful.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's painful anyway, but in this game state, it's even more painful than usual. So we're in a little bit of a rough spot here for Jaedong. And with the other Zealot coming and putting pressure on the other side as well, now another drone might fall. At the very least, losing some mining time. This is really rough for Jaedong to have to deal with this interaction. He's trying to use the drones on one side and Lings on the other. Has been able to avoid additional losses for the time being, but has lost a lot of mining time at the very least. There's the Hydra Den with the first 50 gas, just to make sure he doesn't just straight up die to Corsairs and what have you. But yeah, this is a little bit annoying damage for Jaedong to sustain, because he wants to just get his macro underway and just power spike. You can make so many drones with this build, it's insane. You can actually play more like a Protoss player would play and just have like almost like 1.5 to 2 drones per mineral patch and go up all the way to like 60-70 drones very quickly, especially if you don't die to the timings of the Protoss player. So this damage is really annoying from Snow, because it prevents Jaedong from really getting this build the kind of potential it needs. He's not squeezing all the juice out of the orange because of what Snow's doing here.
Snow's really being annoying with this pair of zealots behind the mineral patches. They're finally going to bring forward a Hydra to just deal with that. Hydras are being made limited quantities just to deal with this Corsair and make sure that doesn't supply block him constantly while he pumps out these drones. But he is going to be pumping out a huge amount of drones. Of course, there is that threat that he could try to hit the pre-9-minute storm timing, which is always scary, but it's likely we're just going to see a huge macro play out of him. He will eventually get into his lair. There is a bit of a weak spot for a Zerg player going this type of build, which is you don't have that overload speed for a long time. But he will eventually get that online, and he can also get his Spire up after that layer's done as well. It's just, that's the one weakness of this build, Shun, is that you don't have that extra tech. You don't have that speed for the overloads. You don't have that Scourge to deal with the Corsairs. And let's see what Snow can do with that small disadvantage.
Yeah, you're playing pretty defensively for a while. Essentially, your Hydras are pinned in 2 locations trying to defend the Overlords until you can have a massive amount of Hydras to just send across the map once your Hydra speed is finally like kicked in and those kinds of things. So you're kind of just sitting back and macroing for quite some time when you're playing this build, and that's why Snow's putting a lot of pressure with such few units, because he knows that that's the game state, and he also knows that even though this army technically wins, they have to shoot the Zealots while the Corsairs go to town on these Overlords, so it does so much damage to Jaedong if he can supply block him just a few times here. Luckily, Jaedong didn't get one more additional Overlord killed there, so he can still keep producing units at a pretty rapid rate here. I think Jaedong will still have a powerful build execution, but this is enough slowdown that he won't just bowl over Snow with the amount of units he's able to make.
This is interesting. He's going to go for a counterattack. These Hydras are just going straight across the map. He managed to save one Overlord. He hid one Overlord to the north of this.
Yeah.
And Snow completely missed it, so the DT won't just save his life. He's going to be able to come in. There's a couple of Templar at that natural. They don't have energy or storm yet. He gets the Dark Templar. That's huge. That Dark Templar was really, really important to this build. So much money in the bank for Snow because he's just getting his gateways online. Storm is done, though. 10 minutes in. Of course, Snow has his upgrade finished. He is just that good.
Only one more Storm left in the bank, though, and with only 2 cannons here. Eventually, these Hydras will overrun these 6 Zealot squad and then get onto the wall again. This could be a big disaster for Snow still. He had only 1 or 2 Storms. Just 1 Storm, I think, with some more energy coming up from the additional. A pretty good Storm dodge. Good enough, I would say, to keep the pressure on. Actually, maybe not. Maybe there's enough Zealots here he can start to push out. He should try and save this gateway, I think, and he does decide to do that. Good decision from Snow to keep these Hydras at bay so he can keep his production as high as possible. Just 1 more additional gateway can make all the difference in this sort of situation. If you can keep up with the production of the Zerg, a lot of Hydras can be made from Jaedong. If you can start to get the critical mass going so the Zealots can't trade, eventually he will be hammering on the gates.
So the Hydras are going to be pushed all the way back across the map. Going to have to remake a couple of forges back at home. Double forge here in the main base. Snow is starting to get out on this map, but that was a dangerous position. Things can fall apart very quickly when the Hydras arrive, and the DT is not able to hold that front line. That was the you know, disadvantage I was talking about earlier, is that you don't have that overload speed, so you shouldn't have an overlord at the natural to help you push through the DT play.
Right.
But just a bit of a mistake by Snow. He didn't clear the overlord over the natural, and he paid the price for it. Oh, a great storm on these Hydras. He wasn't paying attention. He didn't know that the Templar Zealot army had moved into that position, and now things are really falling apart here for Jaedong. One mistake like that can cost you a game, especially when going up against a player the caliber of Snow, and he's pushing in, taking advantage of this position so beautifully. He's going to get right into this pocket and wait for the Hydras to come up before casting the perfect storm. Now the Zealot army is so big, it's going to be able to overwhelm. Okay, a few mutas do pop out. They're going to help a lot against the Zealot army, but how much damage can be done here?
There's so many. Yeah, there's not enough mutas to dish out enough to kill these Zealots. There's just too much HP. There's thousands upon thousands of hit points and shields to chew through, and the DPS is just not high enough to get it. He might even kill the hatchery if he wants to target that down. Another storm coming out onto the Mutalisk as well, denying them doing damage at the very least, even if they aren't killing them. Archon on the way as well. At the very least, drones and Hydras will be falling. Target firing down the Archon instead of the Zealots, so we'll be killing the splash damage potential, but again, the Zealots getting a little bit of extra damage for their time. Honestly, a lot of drones didn't die, and he didn't target the hatchery down, so probably one of the best case scenarios for Jaedong, although this still is pretty good for Snow, all things considered.
That was a magnificent hold overall from Jaedong. Yeah, so many things could have gone wrong. That last storm with that Templar just barely getting 75 energy over the mineral patches. He casted the storm, and Jaedong managed to dodge the majority of the damage. That could have gone horribly wrong. Those other two Templar came up, threw storms on the mutas when they could have stormed potentially drones. Just a lot of things had to go right for Jaedong to survive that moment, and he's actually managed to do so. So he's not out of this game yet, but he is in a tough spot.
Yeah, and it's one of the better game states he could have hoped for. He came out way better off than I thought he would in that. Yeah, he probably could have hoped for better in that game situation with how aggressive Snow was being with that many units coming in at that time. Trying to get what little he can with these Mutalisks before they kind of dry up in their value that they can provide, being as annoying as possible to Snow while getting this fourth hatchery on. It's looking a little bit dicey still for Jaedong. I mean, getting the fourth base online is great, but I mean, I don't know how he's going to stabilize against Snow. Snow will be racing ahead in supply in just a few moments here with this third base online, and if he does manage to get a critical mass of Dragoons out on the map, I don't know how Jaedong's going to flip the script on him until we get Plague and Dark Swarm online later on. I don't think Jaedong's going to live long enough to get there.
Looks like Jaedong's not even going to rely on that hive play. He's going to continue to pump out mutas and rely on that comeback mechanic, try to snipe down some Templar and win a fight with Hydras. It's a tried and tested method of coming back in a ZVP, but it's going to be very difficult.
But I think he has to go for it, because there's no way he would survive like trying to go for Hive now. I think he has to commit to doing this Battle Zerg style right here, right now. Seeing if he can get a lot of value, swings into the main base, gets at least one or two of these Templars. Is pretty good pickups. Needs to make sure he can get on the exit. But the Neutron Flare chase from Snow is a little bit too devastating. So much splash hits on those Mutalisks, bruising them up. Does get a few, maybe one or two, well, just one probe kill on the exit. Maybe not enough compensation there for Jaedong. The fourth base is now completed, but it hasn't yet been started mining. So I don't know how I feel about this. I think this Battle Zerg will probably be a great effort from Jaedong, but it won't necessarily be triumphant, even though it is the right decision in this game state.
Needs to snipe a few more of these Templar, but he's run out of time. He doesn't have enough mutas, and he can't really afford to produce a bunch more right now. He's just pumping pure Hydra and trying to defend over at this fourth base. Instead, he's actually going to go for a massive counterattack, buy as much time as he can over at the center right. Great storm there, by the way. Oh my god, that was like 8 Hydras in that storm. And now going to try and hit this third base while all of the aggression is going on to his center right base. Can he actually kill this? He looks like he's going to get the cannons at least, but he won't be able to get the Nexus, I don't think. And that was what he was looking for. He was hoping to trade bases with Snow, and Snow's just going to get the base trade for free. He kills all the mutas and the Hydras, and now he can switch his attention back over to this fourth once again.
Yeah, I mean, I know my job is to hype this game up, Sam, but this is a losing game state for Jaedong. I mean, if this fourth base can't be kept alive, there's just no hope left for him, unfortunately. I think this might be the comings of a Snow comeback here. This is looking pretty promising for Snow. I don't think there's a way for Jaedong to stabilize. There's enough storms and a huge critical mass of Dragoons has been reached so they can bully their way to this high ground, push Jaedong off of it, get on top of the rally points of the Zerg, and then also cut off connections as well, because he will be able to start to kill off hatcheries as well. Look at how many units are going down for Jaedong. There's absolutely like nothing left in the infantry, just a few measly skirmishing hydras on the northern flank. GG finally called, and Snow is on his way to being the comeback king himself right now, Sam.
The Dungeon Delver Snow turns out to be the adventurer that could continue this dive for his squad. He's going to be reaching a level 3 now. Hero meeting him in the darkness. It's not the final boss though. The specter of that evil is haunting him. Soul Key still in the background, ready to pounce when the time is right. Hero, just the appetizer here for Snow as he delves deeper and deeper. Oh, pool coming down after Overlord. So an overpool build here from Hero. We're gonna have some lings out early, and Snow, if he goes for Nexus first again, he's gonna be in trouble.
Potentially, yeah. Or at least it'll be a very tight hold. It is cross map, so maybe some slow down with the probes. Oh, it's gonna be okay. Nothing crazy, just a straight up forge. But yeah, I mean, our adventurer here, he's picked up a few items. He's leveled up a little bit. He got the mini boss now to contend with, but he's should be leveled up enough to deal with him, to warm him up for the ultimate showdown with the boss of the dungeon, the Soul Key that's laying in wait. Maybe it's a soul he needs to slay to get a key to save the princess or something. Who knows what's going on there? But all we know is that he's got a big challenge against him. I mean, taking out both of these guys in a row will be a bit of an ask, to say the least.
For sure. Pantheon is our map, cross map. Snow gonna get that very quick nexus with the Forge expansion, and well, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It does frustrate the plans a little bit of Hero, who built 4 lings, who's hoping to go up against a Zealot, maybe catch that early Zealot, or do some sort of run by, something like that. But as it stands, I think Snow, with just a probe in the wall and a cannon finish before the lings arrive, should be fine. With his nice quick nexus, he's going to be feeling good. He's got a probe on the map as well, a couple of probes in fact, looking for his opponent. Gonna look for that third base, figure out what he's up against, and it's pretty standard so far from Hero. He's gonna get his gas and just work on setting up his 3 base. You just, like you said before, you gotta play from behind sometimes as a Zerg player. So you gotta accept your position and try to play the best that you can.
Yeah, and it's usually it's one of the best ways you can approach the game. I mean, if anything, like, to do anything different would almost be putting yourself further behind, because then you'd be even less optimized doing something. It's better to just be a little bit suboptimal and just be happy about it and swallow it up, and later on you can even things out. Maybe even come out a bit ahead if you can get some good sneaky counterattacks in or something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, do you think our adventurer can go all the way here? I mean, I kind of want him to. Like, even though I'm like, I want Zerg to win, it'd be nice to see Snow do like a crazy comeback and just kill everyone. I don't know if it's in the cards, but I would like to see it. I don't know, Sam, though. I'm feeling like his time is nigh. They're all playing on hardcore right now. Once you die, you're dead for good. There's no more revives. So, I don't know. I'm a little bit shaky for Snow. I don't think he can go all the way. I think he can maybe take out Hero here, but I don't think he's taking out Sulky later on. Might be able to keep this probe alive, though. Doing a very good job of breaking the ankles of these Zerglings for the time being. Also going to be making his way into the main base. Potentially not able to get that vector, though. Good manual pathing from Hero to deny that. If these lings were just on manually automatically catching up with our attack move, the probe wouldn't be able to be denied, but with manual pathing, no way we'll be able to get in there. Eventually just catch that and kill that.
A single Zealot gonna make its way in. Just gonna deny a little bit of mining over here at the third base. And yeah, I am with you, Shun, in your prediction. I don't think that Snow will be stopped here by Hero. I think that maybe Snow can take on Hero here, but I doubt that he'll be able to take down Soul Key. That would be a huge ask. But anything can happen in KCM, as we've always said. These Zealots finding a good position in between the gas and mineral patch, doing a good job with those, just denying as much mining time as possible, being as annoying as he can be with these two. And Hero will eventually get enough lings to surround and kill that, but he'll be taking a poor trade with his lings, no doubt.
Right. Yeah, it's actually a really good spot on the right-hand side. It's very difficult to get the two lings to double up on the Zealot. From the left, it's much easier. Some spots are easier than others to, like, it's visually it's very deceptive how the lings line up. Some of the doodads on the hex grid can kind of like trick your eyes. If you're like a wizard and know the matrix of the game, it doesn't fool you. But sometimes even the pro gamer, like if the doodad just looks a little bit funky, it can kind of screw up with how you can line up your units to go in these tight little pockets to get the trades that they usually would be able to do.
Hero managed to get that pretty reasonable trade. He got the two lings going and cleared all of that out. Now he's going to be losing one Overlord, but it's a worthy sacrifice. We'll have Scourge out in just a moment. And it's thinking about getting greedy there, maybe dealing more damage to that Overlord, but thinks better of it. He's going to back away as the Scourge come out and keep that Corsair alive. Sending in a few more Zealots. Wants to see if there's a third gas on the way or what's actually coming here from Hero.
Yeah, and good catch on these Zealots as well. There's like at least like 10, 20, 30 seconds until the leg enhancements can kick in for these Zealots. So trying to take as much hull hit points off them as possible before that does finally finish up its upgrade. Scourge doing a good scout in the main base as well, seeing what's what, to see what's on the way. If you can figure out exactly what the Protoss player is trying to do and when they're trying to do it, it's very easy to optimize. And inverse is true as well. If the Protoss player can keep good scouting information on with a good healthy Corsair count, that will help them min-max as well. So far I would argue that Hero's done a pretty good job of it, and it looks like he wants to go heavy into Mutalisks here. He wants to try and establish some kind of air dominance, and if there's only one Stargate to contend with, I think that's potentially going to be very fruitful for him.
It doesn't seem like Snow is fully realized this yet. He does have cannons in the main. I'm not sure how many though. 5 mutas only being built so far. So this 5 muta count it's not indicative of a full-on mutalisk commitment. This is much more of a mid-range build where you have the mutas to deal with these Zealot timing attacks. You've got a couple of sunken colonies to deal with that as well. And then you're going to be transitioning into Hydras after you get a big round of drones safely to all 3 of your bases. Now, Snow's actually thinking about moving out with the 1 Archon. There's going to be, I think, enough Hydras to deal with this. He's going to have Hydras popping out really, really soon. His mutas do not need to be taking big shots from the Archon. Just a couple of hits is going to soften them up beyond repair. So he's got to back off with those for now. Snow going to come into this base, but that's a very nicely tucked sunken colony. I don't think you're going to be able to get on top of that.
Oh wow, this is really well SimCity'd out. There's only one Zealot that even gets into the line. Still 4 Corsairs trying to like rain down. Gets the supply block on Hero. It's a little bit annoying that he doesn't have any more Scourge to come in and kill these Corsairs. So instead the mutas are going to be running out onto the map, seeing if they can catch anything elsewhere. At the very least making the Corsairs want to chase these down so they're not killing Overlords and being annoying while he stabilizes. There's no cannons currently up in the natural expansion, so these Mutalisks, just by running out onto the map and forcing these Corsairs to turn around, is enough to like stabilize and save the day. So he's not actually like going to commit with the Mutalisks to do that, but threatening to do so was absolutely necessary by Hero.
He's got the 5 mutas. It's a perfect number to kill probes, and so Snow's gonna hang back a little bit, just play it a little bit safe. Doesn't want to be losing a bunch of workers at this point. It's pretty clear that he can't get in there and deal any damage at this third. If he tries to do a counter attack, he's just gonna lose everything. So He's going to try and dip in just slightly with the Zealots, try to force the engagement with them, and then go after the Overlords once again. Overlord speed is done, though, so it'll be a little harder. Diving in now with the mutas, 5 mutas. As we say, it can one-shot, but he's looking for some Templar, some free Templar kills as he flies through. He's not going to find anything, and he's just going to abandon the position now.
Well, it's a much weaker game state once the cannon and units are already established in a natural expansion. When there was nothing there defending, these 5 Mutalisks would have been much more of a threat. Now one of them's dead, and they're not really posing much of a risk to Snow anymore, so he's not going to be respecting that out on the map nearly as much, and will be putting the pressure on in other ways if he can get away with it. Looks like there's enough Hydralisks that have been produced that he's going to start to come out onto the map and skirmish with Snow, which I do like that. Even though he's supply blocked and being annoyed a little bit, he does need to come out and see if he can contest this third base. There's not necessarily units in the right position, and Scourge trying to get a pounce on these Corsairs, not quite able to find the connections. Archon's also going to be able to shut that out and act as point defense for those Corsairs. Beautiful shutdown on denying these Hydras the high ground space with the Zealots body blocking on both frontiers, and now the Archon coming in there, adding some range damage to that equation as well, forcing the turn tail and run from Hero. Not too far behind in supply, 102 to 118 though, so all things considered, still a respectable game state for Hero to play from.
Hero realizing he's not going to be able to get in there and deal killing blow to the third base. Will just go for his own 4th down here. Managing to snipe this Dark Templar is very nice, keeping that away from his 4th and not even revealing the fact that that's been taken. A lot more mutas are popping out. Hero feeling like there's a bit of a lack of Corsairs in the army. Even though there's 6 here ready to go ahead and gun those down. He's going to come across the map, try to utilize the mutas to snipe Templar and go for a kill on the third base. This is a crazy play from Hero. Dude, he's going to just go for it. Trying to dive on top of these Corsairs. He actually pushes everything back. This is not what I was expecting out of him.
Well, now these Zealots are unprotected, and he's going to intercept the Corsairs with the Hydras to at least pick 1 off. Well, I was hoping he would at least get 2 there. At least gets 1, I guess. It's not too bad. Does start to get some of these units on the retreat as well. Not too bad. Currently eclipsing Snow in supply at the moment. 125 to 120. Starting to race ahead just a tiny bit. And if he can edge out ahead in supply and get a good trade right here, right now, and get on top of the rally point, he doesn't even need to kill the third. He could just start being annoying, camp outside this rally point, and start to pressure Snow a lot more. And add a lot more, like, a little bit of a chaos theory to the mix, so he can't quite establish a massive standing army to just push out and kill Hero while he's expanding. So he could be really annoying from this point onwards to Snow, knowing that he's got a pretty strong army lead.
Snow 2 steps ahead, realizing that with this large Mutalisk count, there's an opportunity to dive into the main base, and already has the cannons finished to defend that. 3 cannons going to be the magic number to deal with this number of mutas, and the Scourge will be forced back as well. Round of drones making its way down to the 4th base, so it's not going to be an action style, just mass Hydra play out of Hero. He's going to go into most likely a late game situation, which I like to see out of him. Oh, a lot of Corsairs going down here. Good connections. Some storms thrown out as well, but I think a reasonable job of dodging was done, and he even storms his own Corsairs there, losing the remainder of those. There's an opportunity for Hero to go back into mutas. As funny as it is, he's already built 2 groups. He could build another group of mutas and have an opportunity to snipe down a bunch of temps.
We saw this happen in a few games before as well. When those Corsairs dry up, it does leave a window open for the Mutalisks to kind of reign supreme yet again, because the Protoss player just doesn't want to dump gas into Corsairs at this point in the game, where every gas is precious and you're barely squeezing out the right amount of Dragoons and High Templars already. You can't afford to make Corsairs, so this is a great time to make a couple of Mutalisks and just run in with like 9 or so mutas to snipe the High Templars again. Yeah, it could pay dividends, but he is electing to at least make lurkers for the time being, so I don't think we'll see too many Mutalisks being made.
Yeah, just staying on about 4 or 5 mutas, going to be flying around, just checking out the army, keeping a tab on that. Wants to make sure that he's got ample time to react if the army is indeed coming across the map. But it seems like Snow is planning to take a 4th base instead. He's just going to play it safe, get this 4th down. It's highly defendable, and it leads into a pretty easy 5th as well. Ooh, Storm is fantastic, and he keeps the Templar alive. There's 4 kills on that Templar. Most of them were those Mutalisks, and Hero's gonna drive a wedge over into the top center, try to prevent a 5th base from going down, but this is not an easy location to hold. It's so far away from your rallies, and it's so tight up there on that high ground. It's gonna be very easy for Snow to push up onto that area and retake that in a moment's time.
It's a Templar's paradise up there, that's for sure, saying it's absolutely crazy. Like almost one storm covers that entire high ground area. Like you would need like 4 storms to cover it perfectly, but one storm is like more than enough to ruin anyone's day up there. So really hard to hold on to these positions as Zerg, especially in the later stages of the game. I don't know how I think he just wants to slow down as much as possible. Like, if it takes him like more storms to just kill this, he's happy. So I think that Snow identifies that and is refusing to even utilize Storm to deal with this for the most part. Okay, one Storm just come out there for the Lings, but trying to get away with killing this with only one Storm is pretty cost efficient. But that does open himself for a counterattack now. Dark Templar on the high ground buying valuable time and body blocking, but not enough to stop this massive monstrous getting up here. It's crazy amounts of units, but look at this, also double-edged sword. It's a massive kill box. Sonic Storm raining down death onto these Hydras, saying, and it's going to be easy for him to bust up here than it is for Hero to break through. So I don't know how I feel about this. There's a little bit of a hopeless effort from Hero. He just needs to slow down the expansions of Snow, but he's throwing away so many units and accomplishing very little at the moment.
It's so tempting to run up onto that high ground and burrow a bunch of lurkers, because you know how important high grounds can be and how difficult it is to break with the Protoss army, but that is just such a tiny little high ground on Pantheon that the Storms can cover everything, and we saw some amazing efficiency out of Hero with those Storms. Do we have drop potentially? That's a lot of Overlords moving all together at the same time. Anytime I ever see that, I immediately assume drop. It seems like maybe not, though. He's going into Hive and getting into Crackling, and that's not usually when you're going to be affording drop.
Right. I mean, drop and like putting down lurker eggs on the ramp and using cracklings to kill production is not the worst idea, especially if he's able to keep the attention drawn away at these 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions. But I don't know. He might be going for a drop, but I'm not necessarily sure. I think he might just be setting himself up for a normal late game scenario. This is a hard map for Zerg to contend with, though, because of how easily defendable these sort of like pocket bases are at the 12 and 9 and 3 and 6. It can be problematic. You get up to 4 or 5 bases so easily as Protoss, so I think Zerg has to play the super late game here, take way more bases, way more hatcheries, and just know that they're going to have to go into a super late game phase and that they can't get an easy closeout here, and they won't be able to just do their usual shenanigans to get an easy win.
Hero is ahead in supply right now. I mean, massive amounts of units over at this rally point. Some Defilers are popping out 17 minutes in. Those Defilers are going to have Plague soon, and he can start to just chain those Plagues out. It's, like you said, likely going to be a situation where we need to have the rest of the map taken. Hero going to have to take over one of these main bases and hold it down with a bunch of lurkers and force Snow into bad trades. Diving on these bases and trying to break them open on 5 base is probably not going to be possible, because like you said, it's so defendable. But you know, with 5 bases as Protoss, that's like a 30-minute game, no matter how you slice it.
Right, you just want to whittle him down with plagues and just know that you have to commit to the super late game, and you know you have to win by value alone. So just relying purely on plague and whatnot. He doesn't actually get any plagues or anything off with these, just one measly dark swarm for the 2 Defiler energy worth. So really rough start for Hero to kick things off with the trades. So far so good for Snow pushing down into this threshold. As long as he doesn't lose the base in the bottom left, Hero won't be too unhappy, though. He just needs to hold on to these bases. He has got a lot of units moving into position to try and hold this T junction, this cross junction at this 6 o'clock position. There's so many storms coming out. There's going to be an absolute meat grinder. Drones are in retreat. No storms have been uttered in their direction to try and kill them, though. It looks like every single storm is standing on deck to fight the main battle army of Hero. Does get his units in to kill this hatchery. So now that Hero's lost this production, this could spell disaster. This is a 5-base Protoss, even though his natural's been mined out, raining down on him, and he's losing bases and unable to defend them. This could be disastrous for Hero if he can't even get down into the bottom left to defend that after he turns around.
Snow is going to push over towards the mineral only, and he's in a dangerous position where he could be surrounded, but he's got his back to the high ground with Templar standing on top. This is a nasty position to try and push in, and Hero could end up bleeding a lot of units just trying to break that spot. You can see that, I mean, Snow is staying maxed out, and Hero is struggling to breach 160 supply. Coming around from the top side, he is doing his best, absolute best, to try and surround this army. He's finally seized the high ground, and he's got the Lings coming around from the back, so he will clean this up, but he traded a base for an army, and Snow's going to be able to make several more armies behind this.
Yeah, it's really well played from Hero, but the fact remains is that he lost the base for this compensation, and it's not a price he can pay at this point in the game. He needs to replace that as soon as possible, get another hatchery or two up and running at some of these bases. He needs to get another gas online. The bottom left base does kind of compensate a little bit for the lost production, but it doesn't do enough to keep growing. He's got a Nidus in the pocket down here in the bottom left quadrant, so he can ferry over a lot of units quickly to defend against these counterattacks that are coming in right now. So he will stabilize, so he's not necessarily dead or anything, but he doesn't have enough spring in his step that he would like to contend with the Protoss just yet. It's going to still be a bit of a waiting game, stopping Snow from expanding anymore, slowly playing catch up, and then winning out slowly but surely on trades. It's going to take a long time from Hero though.
Yeah, Hero needs to re-expand to bottom center. He needs to continue to explode into this bottom left as well. At the same time, not allow Snow to take the entire top left. Or top right, excuse me. And that can be a really tough chore. Even if you hadn't lost this base down at 6 o'clock and you managed to, you know, keep everything alive and healthy, it's hard to stop the Protoss player from holding that top right. But as it stands, Snow's going to be moving towards that position. He's got the Reavers out as well, his spirit animal. Let's see if Hero can break top right as Snow moves to start to take that base.
I mean, he plays like a machine, so it makes sense that his spirit animal was robotic, saying doing a really great job of like doing a lot with a little. But Snow is getting up into this pocket. It looks like he might just barely have enough up here if he sends more of his units that are waiting not too far down south. He might be able to deny his base going up. Another big trade coming up in here. So many plagues are connecting, but it doesn't really matter. The sonic storms and units are raining down and doing their job enough that it doesn't seem like Hero is putting enough of a buffer against the army that's being sent his way, so it will look like this hatchery is going down yet again at the 6 o'clock, and that's just something else that his Hero has to worry with in a game state that's already really frustrating to deal with as a Zerg. He's got more problems stacking up upon more. So much paperwork is sitting on his desk right now, Sam.
There's so much paperwork sitting on his desk, and his boss is screaming at him the entire time. He's got a lot of pressure. At the moment, he's losing drones over at his mineral only base, and these two Reavers on high ground lurking and just killing off a ton of reinforcing units. It's up to Hero to clear this army efficiently, but he's not doing a great job of it, and Snow's perfect composition is perfectly destroying everything that comes up this ramp. Finally, one of the Reavers will go down, but a great hot pick up there from Snow to keep that one plagued Reaver alive. He's going to be able to bail out and keep that for another time. Maybe put that down at another one of these bases, just keep it alive. He gets the other hatchery as well. Man, he's done so much damage with this push, and although Hero's taking the bottom left quadrant, it's rough right now, dude. How do you win here as Hero? I mean, at least he kept the base in the top right from going down. My gosh, more kills with these Archons as well. Great target fire there from Snow.
Yeah, usually you wouldn't even be paying attention at that point in the game. You just let that Archon die for free. But the attention to detail, to know to click there to like manually target the drones, is a really nice added compensation to that trade. Everything going Snow's way. It's really difficult to win from this position. He's barely hanging on by a thread. He took the natural expansion in the bottom left quadrant, so he's still technically alive. Two bases are mining with a little bit of additional depleted gas on the right side of the map, but not enough to keep up with this crazy production from the Protoss player, who's still in 3 healthy bases with a little bit of minerals left in the main base as well. He's actually in this a big deficit right now. That's why you see pretty much nothing but Lings trying to desperately cling on to anything. But the Reaver play into the main base in the bottom left will spell disaster. Now that he's not mining here, I can only see that it's going to be a GG timing coming soon, saying this can't be a sustainable, tenable position.
My gosh, the micro! Did you guys see that?
It's crazy.
Bringing an Archon plus a Reaver. That I've never seen this type of composition with a drop like that. Using the Archon to deal with these. Oh my god, he got the hatchery too. Are you kidding me? Oh man, he stuck around just to get that last hit off with the Reaver to kill the hatchery. That was some style points for Snow. He's gonna get the clapper after this for sure, man. My gosh, that was sick.
It impresses me when people are using clunky Broodwar units and making them look fluid, like it's like a modern game, you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy to see that kind of thing. Like, really high level execution. That makes it look like it's a unit from like Starcraft 2 rather than Starcraft 1. Really impressive stuff. GG finally called by Hero, taps out, and now it's just one man waiting. The soul, the key to the victory for Snow in the coming phases. There's just one boss left in the dungeon, saying, can he slay him?
Here he is, the final boss at the lowest level of the deepest, darkest dungeon of Zerg. Soul Key, spawning in top right-hand corner. On Deja Vu, we've got Snow in the bottom right. Vertical spawns. Really impressive game from Snow. A really fun game, actually.
Yeah.
With some very cool Reaver and Archon usage in that last one.
Yeah, it was really fun using the tactical use of the Archon in the bottom left with this shuttle. Really, really good stuff. And Archons are such great point defense against Scourge as well. You can really do a lot with them. Usually you don't see that unless it's like a much more standard engagement with, like, say, Zealots, Templars being supported by the Archon with the Corsairs in mass. So, yeah, really funny to see such a little tactical usage of that in the shuttle in the bottom left like that. Really funny game. Can he go all the way, though? It is Soul Key now. This is like, this guy's no joke. I mean, he doesn't necessarily need an introduction, but he's got 3 back-to-back titles, 3 in a row, and he's playing Zerg. I mean, this guy is an absolute bonjour. That it cannot be overstated how good this guy is at this game. He's happy to play from behind. He's happy to like be like, okay, when I say play from behind, I mean really behind. Like, he's happy to like make sacrifices to just not die, because he knows that even if he is behind, he can still win. It's like he's operating on that level.
He was operating on a different level, like a different wavelength in his victory over Snow in the SSL this season. It was crazy the way he was predicting his moves and pulling him apart way early on. Like, we saw him in, I think it was SSL season 2, or the second win of Sulky, the second time he won. Playing against Snow, he went late almost every game and kind of ground down Snow in the late game. But this most recent season, he showed an understanding of PvZ that I don't think we've ever seen before. And yeah, I certainly do believe he's achieved that bourgeois status now.
Yeah.
Will he be able to pull Snow apart like that? Are we going to see a nice long game? I'm hoping for the latter, Shun.
I want to see a nice long game. I don't want to see anything too crazy where Sulky just dominates him here. I would love to see a close game where Snow actually has a good run for it. It's a big ask, though. Pretty good blocking. A little bit of delay on the hatchery timing, slowing that down by a few seconds. Nothing too crazy. Does lose the probe already, though. 2 Zerglings killing a scouting probe this early on without speed. It's really rough stuff already to have to soak up. And Snow's usually the guy that's starting on you with his micro. So imagine where things are if Snow's the guy that loses his probe that quickly to slow Zerglings. You can start to figure out exactly where these guys are in the pecking order. And it's not looking good for Snow.
Oh, I think that was some fantastic play from Solkey, because he knows that with the way that Snow is controlling that probe at the third base, he's like paying all of his attention to that probe, and then the moment that he stopped trying to block the hatchery, he knows he's got to go back and do some things at home.
Yeah.
He's not going to be paying attention for a couple of seconds. He immediately dives on the probe and kills it. It's beautiful stuff. Like this is
crazy.
So high level of what we're seeing out of Solkey. He knows the attention, where the attention needs to be from his opponent. He's expertly utilizing that to his advantage. So I can't say enough good things about Solkey, and we're gonna continue to kind of grope him here as the game goes on.
Glazing him. Yeah, we're glazing him like a Krispy Kreme's donut right now. To be fair, it's justified, right? He like deserves it a little bit. This guy's an absolute monster. The way he figures out this game is crazy. He does to Snow what Snow does to Terran players. Like Snow is good at figuring out the beats that a Terran player is trying to hit and to give him hiccups along the way when he doesn't want to have to deal with them. He knows all of those, and he also knows how to perfectly go back and macro back at home while he's doing that. Solkey knows how to figure you out to disrupt what you're trying to do on top of that. So he seems to be like one level beyond everyone else's processing. So I don't know what he's operating on. Maybe they figured out some kind of like quantum computing, and he's like operating on a different like operating system right now as these other pros. But yeah, he seems a little bit special at the moment.
It's rare that players will catch fire or catch a lightning in a bottle for long enough to win an SSL, but to win 3 in a row, that is something incredibly special. And yeah, it's scary to see a Zerg play at this high of a level. Snow is standing toe to toe with him thus far. He's holding his own, that's for sure, but things have just begun. We've only just passed the early portions of this game, and the builds have been now revealed. I think both players are going to be feeling pretty confident that at this point, 4 Zealots making their way into the natural. It's a little bit scary with only 3 Lings present. We're going to see some drone control here. Can he keep everything alive? Can he make these Zealots dance? It's so pretty good so far. Great surround on that one Zealot. Getting rid of that immediately. Not enough Lings here to deal with the 3. And as Sunken Colony starts, he's going to go ahead and put some damage on that. Getting surrounded by the Lings. Pretty good pulling back here, though. Snow doing a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, so far he's keeping enough gas pressed down there. Oh, the Zealot barely gets body blocked on the ramp. Couldn't quite get up there. So now that he's picked off, this is a really dicey situation from Snow. The Zealot on the left gets isolated. Perfect split off of Lings. 4 and 3. 4 onto the right, 3 onto the left. Knows the exact calculation of how to kill those 2 Zealots as quickly as possible. Perfect calculation from Solkey. Like, this is what I love about this guy. He's like got everything so dialed in while he's now also coming into the main base with the Scourge. Scouting and double checking. He might even come back with these Scourge at another time to double check and make sure there's not been a tech switch or something. He does usually double scout and triple check just to make sure everything is dots all of his I's, crosses all of his T's when he needs to. Mulis finally out, going to be doing a cleanup on L5 as well, these defenseless Zealots. So everything looking pretty good for Solkey here.
He's seen the Mulis transition, knows how many have been produced. He's even going to get up into the main base and get a full scout in the end. A pretty reasonable force to know. Of course, spotting just pure drones coming out. He's going to send another Zealot over towards that third base. We'll see no third gas just yet, and sees mass drone popping. So, I mean, he's got a very good read on what's actually coming for Solkey. He sees the Hydra Den over here at the third base as well. Delays a little bit of mining time. This is a very even game, but an even game is not what you want against Solkey. You need a pretty sizable advantage if you want to take him down.
I mean, he's happy to play from behind because he thinks he not only can he win, but he thinks he will win even when he is playing from behind. He'll even take risks just because he knows he can still win even if it falls through, and that means it's even harder to get one over on him because he's willing to like cut corners to make sure he's okay in other weird situations. Tries to get dive in, does get a bomb on one of those Corsairs. Now target fires the High Templars. Not the best that he was hoping for, but does reduce some of those storm stalling potential. He wants to come in there and put a little bit of pressure onto the front. There is a Dark Templar without an Overlord 2 nearby to deal with this, so we'll be buying some precious time with this Dark Templar.
Yeah, pushing everything back there. Won't be forced to make a huge amount of cannons at the front, and Sulky not committing too hard to that Hydralisk push either. Just having a few out on the map, ready to take some advantage of Snow if he made a mistake there. He is not making any mistakes so far. It felt like a bit of a micro error from Sulky when he dove in with those Mutas and Scourge. Usually he's way more fluid with the way he pulls off an attack like that, but
it looked like the High Templars got underneath the Corsairs and stuff, and he was having a hard time target firing individual units. I think he misclicked on the High Templars and the Corsairs in that execution, so something definitely went wrong with that.
Regardless, he managed to get one High Templar, so it's pretty worth it for these Mutas, which will be rather worthless in the upcoming fights. Unless he makes like another, 6 Mutas and tries to snipe Templar, he's probably not going to get much out of 3-4 Mutas. And it looks like he is actually going to produce a few more, so more Mutas popping out. We're going to have another dive in. It's been so trendy in this finals. Basically every game we've seen, we've had Mutas trying to snipe High Templar. So I can definitely spot a trend going on right now with these Zerg players.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like they find like a groove that works, and once they slip into it, they keep going back to it. Does manage to get some connections on those Scourge, but not enough to find a kill, just enough to soften up some of those Corsairs. So now 3 of them are weakened, but are still alive. So 4 Corsairs to 8 Mutalisks. Won't be able to come out onto the map with those Corsairs in force for a little bit of time. Usually you want to wait until you got 6 of +1 before you feel safe doing that, able to gun down the Scourge in just one hit. Quite a few Mutalisks are being made, so those Corsairs are going to be having to play point defense of the army, I imagine, when it finally does want to move out for real, because those High Templars will be very easily picked off.
High Templar's precarious situation if they moved out on the map. He's just going to leave them back in the natural for now, maybe move to take this 3rd base. It's so far away from the natural, it's a little bit tough to hold, and I like the position for Sulky taking the base up in the top left. It's very far away from the Protoss, and if, for example, Snow sends his whole army up into the top left to deal with that base, how quick is it for him to just counterattack over to the center right? Very fast access to that center right base for
and I like that it's a natural, so he can sunken it up a little bit if he wants to kind of like make it a bit of a cost-efficient defense up there and sandbag even more.
Very good ideas coming out here for Sulky so far. He's moving in with these Mutas, and there's a couple of Templar here that don't maybe have enough cover. He's covering actually quite well with the Corsair. I've seen it before. I don't know if you've seen this, Shun, but sometimes Protoss players will put their Corsairs over the Templar in the natural and just hold position them so that they can't be targeted by the Mutas, and that can be a really nice play to deal with this type of style, but it's not as adaptable. It's not as efficient.
Well, I mean, you can't exactly pull it off every time, but if like you're just chilling at your rally point, it's not necessarily like hard to pull off. So it's something you'd want to do when you're just doing your usual macro cycles. But at this stage in the game, probably not going to be occurring during the fights and whatnot. But it's still a nice maneuver to pull off when you can. It's similar to like using a floating building over a siege tank. So like, it's a great way of utilizing the units together. I don't know about this though. I mean, I think this high ground might be a little bit too much for Snow to break through, but I think he's wisely going to be skirmishing with that regardless. I think constant skirmishing while trying to get a flood of zealots out on the sideline is going to be a good option from him. It's like he's trying to get up with those zealots, but he's not able to do so. Sulky's shutting him down on that eastern axis, and now going to be skirmishing down the ramp of the main battle line as well. This is great play from Sulky, taking the pressure to Snow instead, rather than just weathering the storms from him, pun intended. So yeah, so far so good from Sulky, even on supply as well. This is looking a little bit dicey for Snow.
This is a map similar to Ascension, or similar to Apocalypse, where taking 3 bases is not too tough as a Protoss player, but there's this big high ground you need to push up in order to escape your 3 bases, and setting up a massive contain is a way that ladder Zergs will take down Protoss players constantly on this map.
And this is a masterclass from Sulky as well. He hasn't saturated this 4th base until just now, once he knew for sure that these 3 bases were properly contained. He refused to saturate that base until he knew for sure there's no way Snow's even getting out with a train of Zealots. Only then did he saturate this 4th base. Like, he's showing absolute masterclass in this matchup so far.
Yeah, he's got tons of units. He's got a small group of Hydras ready to dive on anything that tries to push up, any Dragoons or Corsairs to try to get up on this high ground. He's going to immediately dive upon those. He's taking the 5th base. Is this even necessary, Shun? I feel like 4 bases on a contain is pretty good.
It's not necessary, but it does like give him an economic out if the contain gets busted. So it's like even if you break out of the contain, I'm still going to have more on paper than you. So it gives him a little bit of like wiggle room if things get a bit unfortunate for him later on in the game. But this is basically a win more move.
Is it gonna go to Hive too? Like, what are we gonna see here from Sulky? I mean, like,
usually you go Hive if you don't intend on busting with lurkers, but if you, it depends. Like, he might decide to say Battle Zerg, but I would make a Hive if I was Sulky here.
Sulky sniping that Observer, pretty sick move. I'm just gonna prevent this escape for a little bit longer. Snow needs to keep an Observer alive, and the more times he snipes those, the more difficult it's gonna be for Snow to push out. He's bringing up another Observer. He's going to look for the skirmish. This is so many units. Sulky has so much up here. He's ahead in supply. He's got the Queen's Nest on the way. He will be going into Hive in a little bit, but he's going to focus on holding this contain for the time being. Good snipe there on the Templar, but a good return storm there onto a lot of these Hydras. There's just so much. There's so much here for Sulky. How do you break out of this pot?
It's very difficult. He's creating like a wider and wider L shape as well, and then we'll dive back into position with Hydras as well to push Snow out of the high ground location. Like, he's doing a great job of setting up kill boxes for Snow to fall into. He's like always like, saying you've activated my trap card over and over again, and staying ahead on supply while doing it. Beautiful storm dodging as well, keeping his Hydras as fluid as possible. He does it one of the best in the business at doing this. Most people will be losing a lot more Hydras to these Sonic Storms, but he's staying very fluid with his army movements and keeping an eye on them constantly, being a good babysitter here. I hope he's got kids because he's be a good dad. He's doing a great job of like making sure everyone is still alive and kicking, and keeping his force like reinforced over and over again. This position in the bottom right, I don't think Snow's going to be able to break out with this. He might get some Overlord kills with these Sharking Corsairs, but I can't see him breaking up this high ground anytime soon.
I'm so worried for Snow. He's came up there, skirmished, spent every single storm he had, and then Sulky still had a supply advantage. So that's not a good sign. That is a very, very bad sign. Gonna pick up some possibly High Templar, maybe a couple of Zealots as well, maybe a DT or something. Try to throw it into the natural. It's a great way to play against someone who is committed to containment, but I think that Sulky, he just has too much now. Like this, this is a great play if you're building up your army, and then you throw in the drop and then immediately go for the bust out. That can be really, really strong. But as it stands, he's just gonna have Hydras and defenses absolutely everywhere. In fact, Snow is gonna head up towards top left. He's going for this base over here. He's dropped 2 Dark Templar out on the map, and he's gonna try and create a big problem for Sulky while busting out of this natural. Now, this is really the last hope for Snow. He has to bust while this drop is going on, otherwise he's just gonna fizzle.
This is like watching a bear trap be reset over and over again. Like, he just as soon as he's chomped down on him, he resets the massive spring on the trap, and the Hydras pull back, and as soon as he steps in there, he snaps back shut on him, and the Hydras surge forward again. Like, it's very fluid movements from Sulky, and I really love how deliberate he's being with this, and he's being very cost efficient. I think it's almost impossible for Snow to trade cost efficient. He might be able to break out right now. There might just barely be a critical mass that he has his reach that he can break through, at least on this southern flank here. But Sulky will have enough to just surge forward and still try and challenge this, and at very least get very big trades and reduce the amount of the Dragoons that are in the standing army. And if the Dragoons start to dry up, there's no way of escorting these High Templars anymore, and eventually the head of the snake will be cut off by Sulky. I don't think this is going to be a tenable position for Snow. I think eventually the writing on the wall is going to be apparent to him as more and more Zerg swarm surges forward here in a Sauron Zerg-esque style.
Last couple of storms get tossed out. He's bringing up a few more High Templar. He's got just a few more storms to deal with these. Hydra's going to focus down that Archon. Very nicely done. Dragoons are really, really low in number, but he's just barely starting to break out. He's got a toehold on this high ground, and he's not letting it go. Another round of units can be brought forward. That's a lot of Zealots coming up, but more Hydras are coming across the map. He's got to bring everything to bear and stop Sulky from holding this high ground for a little bit longer. This might just barely be enough stuff, but he loses the Observer. The Observer goes down. The Observer was so clutch, just so key in this fight. He's got one more Lurker that he's going to cast the Storm, but he can't kill that Lurker, and he's just barely going to hold on to this high ground, but he can't really control this area.
Right, he's got one more mining base. He's mined out in his main and natural. Sulky, meanwhile, going to be happily churning away on like 5 bases of economy for a while longer until this main and natural dries up, which will be a few minutes delayed than the Protoss player due to saturation. This is really clutch from Sulky. He's barely got him against the ropes here. Snow just has been able to get himself onto this this high ground, has established himself finally, but at what cost? He's only got one mining base. He's trying to get his 4th online. He's going to try and fight Sulky across the other side of the map, see if he can get on top of the production line. Dark Templar in the top left might be clutch though if Sulky doesn't notice this and clean this up. He might lose a lot of drones. That might be the counter tempo swing that's Snow needs to come back in this game, but it looks like the 4th base attempt is going to be shut down by a counter-attack here, so I don't know. I still feel like this is going to be Sulky's victory. It's just going to be a bit of a death by 1,000 cuts here for Snow.
Oh, this 4th base going down is so painful. Snow needs to send something over there to deal with it, but he's so interested in actually doing a counterattack. He might miss the opportunity to get this 4th base down. He's running right up on top of all this. Lurkers are going to come forward. We've got a drone line moving through the battlefield as he's running forward. He might be able to get a storm on that. He throws the storm on the back end of that train, that drone train, and on some of those Lurkers as well. Gets quite a few kills. Can't push through this position just yet, but he did save 6 o'clock. Oh my gosh, and this game goes on. This is crazy.
Ooh. This is wild. Okay, the fact that he holds onto this base like does mean like he's gonna have a strong chance at contending with Sulky, but at the very least he won't die right here, right now, which will give him a fighting chance. A little bit of a failed counterattack coming in from Sulky. These links will be isolated, not really accomplishing anything. This game will go on for a long time. It's like in Terran versus Terran, where like they finally get one more base. It's like great. This game goes on for another 20 minutes until that one gets mined out.
That is a possibility. We could be seeing a super late game between Sulky and Snow. I didn't expect it after so much action and that crazy containment that Sulky leveraged over Snow. It felt like he was just going to get choked out, but some breath of fresh air with this extra mineral income coming from that 4th base. It's come just in the nick of time to keep Snow in the running, and he's going to continue to move forward and just skirmish with Sulky the best that he possibly can, while Sulky prevents any further bases from going down from Snow and continues to grow out onto the map and get into those late game techs. The Ling upgrades are coming. He's probably pumping on triple evolution chamber at this point. He's got quite a few upgrades already. Right. He's already got +3, +2. That's crazy how many upgrades he's managed to sneak out during this containment.
Yeah, he's staying well ahead of the curve on the upgrades while doing everything else. So he's still dotting all of the I's, crossing all the T's with his tech and staying on curve, even though he did a full-on contain early on. Has done pretty amazing job of it. I don't know how Snow's gonna win this game, but he catches the High Templars. Oh, this is really unfortunate for Snow. So many High Templars going down to nothing but mineral only units. This is really unfortunate, losing that much gas to nothing but a few minerals. That's gonna be a tough nut to swallow here for Snow.
That's brutal damage. And the Plague gonna follow up as well. it looks like a bit of a desperation move here from Snow. He knows how much he just lost, and he's really trying to make some compensation. He will end up losing the majority of the Templar. He's still got 3 Archons and 2 more about to morph in. He might be able to save one of them, but the other is going to go down. That Archon number staying low, and his overall supply count staying low as well, while Sulky starting to catch up slowly but surely.
Right. Now, Sulky will be mined out of his main and natural at this stage in the game. So things will ease up a little bit. It'll be now back to like 2-3 bases versus 2 bases. So not too crazy for Snow to have to worry about anymore. But eventually Sulky will get more and more bases up online. So Snow has to grow himself. So it's now like a rate. It's like a gold rush at the moment, because both of them are kind of even out on production for the first time in a long time. And now Snow has a tiny bit of wind in his sails to surge forward and see if he can, like, you know, buy enough pickaxes to get into the gold mines before Sulky can, and see if he can cash out and win the race here in the gold rush. It is possible, but the plagues will grind him down to a nub very potentially here. So I'm not too sure if he will still win, but this is a great opportunity for Snow to come back in this game.
Snow needs to just hold this high ground, stay defensive, and get this base in the bottom left up. If he splits this map in half, it's a potential winning scenario, but Sulky is going to continue to grind those plagues and keep on lowering that HP on the army while building up his own supply to a massive level. He's going to have one giant attack that comes into this position, and I don't like Snow throwing away units before this attack comes. It feels like he's trying to trade with Zealots versus Lurkers well before it's time. This is a great storm, though. Oh my gosh, he just killed like 4 Lurkers with 2 storms.
Yeah, it's so hard to bury your lurkers without them being easily stormed. Like, it's one of the most biggest problems in this matchup is you can't attack with your lurkers because they're almost always bunched up when you finally get them into an attacking position. If there is storm available, you just crush through them. Yeah, we saw that unfortunately there again for Sulky, not able to break through on some of these attempts, but does need to just keep grinding down the plagues though. Just need to keep this army on low HP. That Defier does go down with a Dark Swarm being cast, so not too bad, but if he can get up into this pocket with this other Dark Swarm it's not too bad. Like, he can drive a wedge between the army of Snow and cut off reinforcements. He can eventually get down to his bottom left quadrant and challenge it, but the problem is that Snow is just trading so cost efficiently at the moment, even though his units have been plagued to death. So far holding his own and getting this base operational on the bottom left is paying dividends for Snow.
Snow hasn't been able to transition into his late game tech. The Reavers haven't come out just yet, and these plagues are continuing to be thrown down. Sulky is getting closer and closer with the Dark Swarms as well. We're going to transfer a ton of drones over to the top left. He is on so many bases. He's got 3 solid mining bases going right now, plus all the depleted geysers that he's got littered around the map. Pushing in once again. Supplies are even. Sulky actually ahead now. He's killed a lot of these Archons, and that's really the bulk, that siege tank of the Protoss army is in this late game, not the Dragoon. Once the Dark Storms come in, they're not very useful. It's really the Archon that needs to build up in number, and he's continued to kill those off a little bit by little bit, bringing it down to just 3. Not going to be enough to deal with the masses of Lings that are coming forward from Sulky. He's able to produce just pure Zealot behind this, trying to hold on desperately to this high ground. If he gets contained on the high ground, he's not able to transfer units between his natural and this fresh 5th base. He's going to be in a huge amount of trouble. Big plague goes down. He's on top of the cannons now. Zealots are just barely able to hold on this position on the high ground, with Lurkers is slowly cutting off the supply of oxygen to Snow. He's still able to transfer units between these bases, but it's not going to be for long. Sulky's resetting his rallies, and he's bringing everything to bear.
Yeah, this is not looking too great for Snow. The longer this goes on, the more he's getting ground down to an absolute nub here. Finally, the wedge has been driven between this rally point and this base in the bottom left. Now the counterattack will occur while the army is getting focus firing. Darkswarm helping clean up these cannons very cost efficiently with just a few cracklings here. Very difficult for Snow to establish a defense once he's been broken like this. So not able to trade nearly as cost efficiently as before. Finally plummeting to sub 100 supply. Sulky's still ahead, 150 to 100 supplies. Absolutely crazy stuff. Both of them have 3/3 upgrades, but with this far ahead on the army, I don't see how Snow can hold on for any long. Saying it's been like a defense for Aya, but unfortunately, like, I don't think he can hold on.
He's done a great job of holding. I mean, breaking out was something special, but GG is called. Snow taps out, and Zerg wins the 4th season of KCM 2024 champions. In the very final game, the last level of the dungeon, the boss remains undefeated. Sulky clutches it out for the Zerg race. Your final result, Zerg takes this season home. I mean, well-deserved. They went first place in the regular season and made it look... I mean, it was close. It was close, but convincing at the end. They were doing very well. A well-deserved win here. Action carrying the squad. What can you say about this this week, Shin?
Man, it's absolutely wild stuff. I thought we were going to see the reverse sweep for a second. I thought there was going to be a potential for a best champion, or it turned out to be a snow champion in the end. But yeah, at first I was a little bit worried about the all kill from Action. It would have been really exciting to watch, but also very a little bit anticlimactic if it was driven out that quickly of a victory. But instead we saw the adventure of Snow delve deeply into these dungeons, use up too many of his fast charges, and didn't have enough healing in that boss fight at the end, unfortunately. And so I'm not too surprised by the result, but it was really exciting to watch. He almost managed to pull it off there in the end, getting that split map position against Sulky. Really exciting stuff, this finale of KCM. We always got great script writers behind the scenes, giving us the absolute most interesting, expectation subverting results we could imagine.
Yeah, we really do live in the best timeline here in KCM. It's been an amazing year of casting with you, Shun. A lot of fun times, so many good seasons, so many good weeks.
Yeah.
Looking back, 2024 has been an awesome season for Starcraft.
Absolutely, Sam. Couldn't hope for more, and I'm looking forward to another year of you soon, guys. We got we're going to be starting off with KCM season 1 2025 real soon.
Absolutely, and it's a completely new world with Flashback in the mix. I don't know if he's going to be able to get into KCM. I don't know if KCM's going to forgive him or they're going to forgive each other. Maybe they can hug it out. I hope that will happen.
Take a year or two.
Maybe it's going to take some time, but I hope we'll see him in the KCM real soon. And like I said, it's a completely new world. 2025 is going to be as much or better than this season. That's what I believe, Shun.
It seems to be on that trend. Every season's been getting more and more exciting recently, and with like new dominance in the hierarchy of like this established bourgeois of Sulky now, and like you say, with Flash coming back into the scene, a lot of shake up to the meta will transpire, and people will be honing their skills even more, and a lot of people hungry for it. There's certain up and coming guys like Speed that are just hungry to establish themselves, and they've done a great job of doing so. They're much more modern styles, and they play out of their minds. So who knows what's going to happen on next season?
And we need another Protoss to add to the mix. Somebody needs to come back and add that extra bit of flavor, because we've got the bourgeois of Sulky plus the returning legend of Flash. Who can we put in the mix? Who could hold that mantle for the Protoss? A new legend needs to rise. It was almost Snow in this previous year. It felt like he was gonna go all the way multiple times in SSL, and I mean here in KCM as well. It's felt like he was on that other level, but he just hasn't quite reached that mantle.
I mean, SSL is just so nerve-wracking. It's hard to go all the way, even if you are an absolute god of a gamer. Like, to reach that true bourgeois status, you have to be complete in all ways, and the main way is that mindset, that mind game. If you can't handle the psychological pressure on stage in front of people when it really matters, you don't deserve that bourgeois status. You don't deserve that title, unfortunately. You might be an absolute god gamer online, but when it matters most, when you show up to the table, if you can't bring it, you don't deserve it, right?
That's that thing about Sulky that makes him so scary, is his like Terminator facade. when he's sitting on the stage. Like the
Killer.
dude just does not react. Complete stone face. Win or lose,
Psychopathic.
yeah, it's crazy how unfazed he is by anything that happens, and his ability to just perform under pressure is crazy impressive. But
yeah,
that's it, guys, for our season 4. That's it for our year of KCM. I hope you guys have enjoyed this season and look forward to season 1 2025, which might be coming out before 2025. We're not exactly sure when that's going to begin. Maybe here in December. Maybe they'll wait till January. I'll let you guys know when we know. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, guys. Go and check out all the links in the description. Say what up to KCM. Leave him a comment. Give him a like on some of his videos. He definitely deserves it. Go check out Shun's channel as well and support the show if you can. A link to the Patreon is down there. Come join us on Discord if you want to chat, hang out as well. We've got a nice little community going there. Quite a few chatters, people hanging out, talking about results and making predictions for things like the ASL, the KCM, etc. So go ahead and check out all those links. That's it for me. Shun, you got anything last to say?
No, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next season. Thanks, guys.
All right.